Fed up with dieting and ready for a lasting lifestyle change? TOPS, Take Off Pounds Sensibly, is a nonprofit group that can help. They meet at the Senior Center every Friday at noon. There's no special food to buy. Learn how real food fits real life, a lifestyle you can live with longer and healthier. Visit tops.org to learn more or call the Senior Center, 520-4945.
Serving Franklin and neighboring communities. You're listening to WFPR-LP, Franklin on 102.9 FM, and worldwide 24/7 at WFPR.FM. We're always happy you're here.
Welcome to the wonderful world of wine, exploring all things wine with you. We are your hosts, Kim Simone and Mark Lindsay, and you can find us on Facebook at The Wonderful World of Wine. Hello, folks, and welcome to the wonderful world of wine. Every week we bring you trending topics in the wine world, and these days we have been bringing some excellent guests to our radio show. So Mark and I are very excited to welcome back Vince Anter from V is for Vino to our show. How are you doing, Vince?
Doing so well. Thanks for having me back on.
Never turn control.
Good.
Chris, you all set?
Recording in progress.
Oh, dear.
They were all in?
Yep, just fill it in. Yep.
Okay. Good evening. Time being 7 o'clock. I call the May 3rd, 2023 meeting of the Franklin Town Council to order. Please pause for a moment of silence. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Announcements from the chair. All citizens are now welcome to attend public board and committee meetings in person. Meetings are live streamed by Franklin TV and shown on Comcast Channel 11 and Verizon Channel 29. In an effort to maximize citizen engagement opportunities, citizens will be able to continue to participate remotely via phone, or you may click the Zoom link that is on the posted agenda and on the town's website. The phone number is 929-205-6099, and the Zoom ID is 829-3769-0021, and then you need to hit the pound sign. Once again, the Zoom ID is 829-3769-0021 pound. If residents are just interested in watching the meeting, it will also be live streamed by Franklin TV. Citizens' comments. Citizens are welcome to express their views for up to 3 minutes on a matter that is not on the agenda. The council will not engage in a dialogue or comment on a matter raised during citizens' comments. The town council will give remarks appropriate consideration and may ask the town administrator to review the matter. Is there anyone in council chambers that would like to speak on an item not on tonight's agenda? Quiet crowd tonight. Is there anyone out in Zoom land that would like to speak on an item not on tonight's agenda? I don't see anybody. Do you, Jamie? I don't see. Okay. Moving on. Approval of minutes. We have none scheduled this evening. Proclamations and recognitions, none. Appointments, none. Public hearings. I would declare the public hearing on new Section 12, restaurant, common victular, all alcohol license, and approval of Katrina Piskaraski as the manager. Here Come to Greeks LLC, doing business as Sierra's Brick Oven Pizza and Pub, located at 370 King Street. I would declare the public hearing open. And Attorney Canetta, did you want to say anything first, or just?
Very briefly, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, members of the council. With me to my right is Katrina Sikarakis. She is the manager of Here Come Two Greeks LLC, and she will be the prospective manager on any alcohol license presented. The location is 370 King Street, as mentioned by the chair. It is the former location of the Spruce Pond Creamery. They have, the Sierra Pizza has been there for about 7 months, operating without a liquor license, a formal annual liquor license. But what they have done on particular selected weekends is they've been getting a daily liquor license that has been issued by Jamie's office and operating, and they have been operating without any incident. The location is a one-story location. I believe there's a sub-basement there, but it's 2,100 square feet in total area with 108 seating capacity. It has an outside patio, as some of you may be familiar, for about 50 seats. Currently, right now, they have only 5 tables out there. It's a very seasonal, obviously in New England, so, and the patio is situated such that it is closed off a bit on one end, and it has a singular access point. The location employs about 20 people. During its height of its operation on the weekends, that you may see anywhere from 12 to 15 people working at the location. Katrina has over 10 years experience in management, and as I say, she has been, along with her dad Michael, have been operating at the location. She's been overseeing the operations for about 7 months. Let me see, anything else I can mention about the operation? The hours of the operation, I should mention, it is Monday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. On the weekends, they may stretch it a bit to 10 or 11, just on Friday and Saturday nights. It's a family-owned and operated business, and they would like, as their customers would like, they serve a lot of brick oven entrees with a Mediterranean flair that would be paired nicely with maybe some wines, some beer, some alcohol options for their customers. And they have been very well received with the daily licenses, and so they'd like to ask your permission for a full liquor license, an annual license. This particular location did, I believe, have a liquor license there with the Creamery, which unfortunately went out of business during the COVID event. There is, in that neighborhood, that little commercial sector, there is the King Street Cafe, which has a full liquor license, I believe. There is the Tedeschi's, they have a package store license, and of course, on the corner is the Chateau, thank you. They have a full liquor license as well. And as we know, there are going to be 2 operating hotels in that particular part of town. So this would be a nice addition to that little commercial area, hopefully offering and helping the restaurant offer as many available food and drink entrees as they can. So with that, we would ask the council's permission to grant this license, and we're open for any questions that you may have.
Great. Thank you, Attorney Canetta. Did you have anything to add, Jamie?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to mention all departments have signed off on the application, and as I think all of you know, this was a site of a previous license before, which, from the ABCC's perspective, that helps pave the way a little quicker.
Great. Thank you. Okay, since this is a public hearing, I will go to the council chambers first. Is there anyone in council chambers that would like to speak on this liquor license? Please come forward to the mic, name and address, please.
Okay, my name is Maureen Kravatis.
To the microphone, okay.
My
Thank
name
you.
is Maureen Kravatis, and I live at Spruce Pond Condominiums. And I'm here on behalf of my friend who petitioned many people at the condo how they felt about this and made a statement. So I'm going to make a statement for her.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little bit breathless. I just flew in from Florida, so I'm jealous.
We are.
And I got this. So this is people who have signed up who are opposed to it at Spruce Pond. And I'll just read what we whatever. All right, good evening. My neighbor, Sharon Angeli, who had to work this evening, asked if I would read the statement on her behalf in the 42 Spruce Pond owners who signed a petition opposing the granting of a full liquor license to Sierra Pizza and Pub. Within a 1-mile radius of the Spruce Pond condominiums, there is a restaurant, the Chateau, with a full liquor license, a breakfast brunch restaurant, King Street Cafe, which serves beer and wine, a restaurant, Acapulco's, with a full liquor license, and a bar, Jimmy D's, with a full liquor license. The residents who own condos at Spruce Pond pay to treat and clean the pond and all the area around it for the wildlife who live at the pond and the residents who live around the pond. A pizza restaurant overlooking the pond with a full liquor license would not be a welcome addition to a very quiet, safe neighborhood of elderly residents. Do we really need another establishment with a full liquor license in a 1-mile radius? 42 condo owners who abut the pond and live across the pond from Sierra think not and are opposed to granting a full liquor license. Okay, that's it.
Thank you.
Said my piece, my friend.
Thank you. Is there, do you want to respond in any way, Rich?
Well, we certainly can appreciate the neighborhood. A lot of them are customers of the restaurant, and certainly they don't want to disturb the tranquility of that pond area. I think the thing to point out about the deck is when you look at the floor plan, which has been provided to you in your package, the design of the building, it's an enclosed deck which faces really the pond and the roadway. And so there is not a lot of direct sight line. I drove down there tonight in advance of the meeting. I believe there are 2 sets of condos that are directly on the pond that face the restaurant. Other than those 2 units, the rest of the remaining 40 units are behind a naturally vegetated area that is it's quite a buffer zone. It's actually a more substantial buffer zone than I think they have toward the hotel areas. And I believe most of the activity, this has been a restaurant for a number of years. In New England, there's not a lot of opportunity for outdoor dining. It's a very short season. Most of the activities are going to be within the building, and they are certainly receptive to the noise concerns, and they will address it as needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in council chambers that would like to please come forward, name and address, please?
Hello.
Hi.
My name's Lauren Lannon. I also live in Spruce Pond at 90 High Bank. I'm not up near the pond, but I did know that the petition went around. I saw it in the mailroom, and there were only a few signatures on it, so I didn't realize there were that many people that were opposed to it. But I did speak to several that are also in support of it. There are so many other restaurants in the area that have it. They've really tried to make a go of this, and they've had a lot of hiccups, as we all know, and stuff. And they are a family restaurant. They're not a watering hole. I don't think that it's going to be disruptive any more than the Chateau or anything else that's over there. They did have a liquor license when it was the creamery, Spruce Pond Creamery and stuff. So I don't live as close as some of the other residents that may have objected, but I did talk to several that were also in support of it, because we do go over there, you know, to patronize it, so, you know.
Understood.
Just
Understood.
a different
Thank you.
perspective.
Thank you, Lauren. Is there anyone else in council chambers that would like to speak on this public hearing on the liquor license? Please. Name and address, please.
Yes, sir. My name is Stephen Knights. I live at 74 Miller Street. I've been in Franklin since 1986, and I've seen a lot of changes in this town. And I don't feel this establishment would do any damage to anybody in the Spruce Pond environment or the entire mile radius. I've been aware of everything in Franklin that has happened in the establishments in the last decades, if I may say that. I don't
Not
think-
speaking from experience.
I am speaking from experience, sir. Yes, sir, I am. And Mr. Cornetta does know that for a fact. And I'm sure he's very surprised that I'm standing here right now. So I just want to say, I've known this family. They're very respectful, and I would appreciate this council to please allow this to happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in council chambers that would like to speak on this liquor license? Is there anyone out there in Zoom land that would like to speak on this liquor license? I wait a few seconds because there is a short delay in case somebody says something they shouldn't. Okay, seeing none, I will declare the public hearing closed. And since they're sitting right there, I think we'll move right to license transactions. And the license transaction is a new Section 12 restaurant, common victular, all alcohol license, and approval of Katrina Sikarakis. I'll get it close. As the manager, Here Come Two Greeks LLC, doing business as Sierra's Brick Oven Pizza and Pub, located at 370 King Street. Clerk will read the license transaction.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a license transaction for New Common Victular, subsection 12 restaurant, all alcoholic beverages. Here Come Two Greeks LLC, doing business as Sierra's Brick Oven Pizza and Pub, located at 370 King Street, Franklin, Mass. 02038. Here Come Two Greeks LLC, DBA Sierra's Brick Oven Pizza and Pub is seeking approval for new Section 12 restaurant, all alcoholic beverages license, and approve the manager, Katrina S. Sikarakis. All departments have signed off on this application. This is a motion to approve the request by Here Come Two Greeks LLC, DBA Sierra Brick Oven Pizza and Pub for new Section 12 restaurant, all alcoholic beverages license, and to approve Katrina S. Sikarakis as the manager.
Second. Motion is second. Discussion. Councilor Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, logic dictates this is a location that once had a liquor license. And to the best of my knowledge, I haven't known that location to be problematic in the past. I wouldn't assume it's going to be problematic in the future. But a common question that comes up is obviously tip training. Is the staff appropriately trained? Are they in the process of appropriately training for tip training, et cetera, et cetera?
Yes, they are aware of the Franklin requirements, and all of the servers will be tip certified, as well as food service safe, which they would do regardless of the liquor license.
Excellent. And also, one of the common topics of discussion that come up during these types of hearings is, as part of Franklin bylaw, and I know you guys are a food establishment, you serve pizza and stuff like that, which is great. There are bylaws set aside that require that alcohol and food need to be served simultaneously, and that you can't shut down the foods without shutting down the alcohol pretty much within the same time frame. So that's just to allow people to continue to eat something of sustenance while consuming the alcohol.
Noted, yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Jones. Any other, Councilor Cormier Ledger?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is just more of a statement than a concern. I've patronized this establishment both when they were on East Central Street and also in the new location. Fantastic staff, fantastic owners, great food, and I would highly support and also encourage everyone to support a business here in town that unfortunately has gone through some bumps and suffered a few struggles, and it's great that they are still open and contributing to our town. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Cormier-Ledger. Councilor Chandler.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. Attorney Cornetti, you hit on all my points tonight, too. I don't have many questions. But to the audience member, this isn't a main thoroughfare, and there are other liquor establishments there. So I have no problem with, I actually want to give them this liquor license, because anything to bring more tax money in is also another good thing. And, but let's just touch on the entertainment for a second, because it looks like that's what the neighbors would be the most worried about. The seating capacity, actually, you said that too, 108. I had that right. That's so that's not a huge amount of people. And are they talking about live bands, or are they?
Well, no, this is an application for an alcohol license. Any type of entertainment request would have to be a separate application through.
Yeah, I saw you didn't check box 19. That's why I was going to ask about that.
Yeah, no, we're not applying for any. There are no immediate plans for any entertainment or amplified entertainment out on the deck area. Now, that's not to say that as they proceed with their business model, that may change. If it does, they're going to have to go through the normal channels of approval and apply for an entertainment license, amplified entertainment license.
Okay, and those aren't outrageous hours, 9 o'clock, so good luck, everybody, we appreciate that, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Chandler. Councilor DeLorco.
Thank you to you, Mr. Chairman. Jamie, they've applied for a liquor, one-day liquor license, and we've had no trouble with them at all, right?
Yeah, through Mr. Chairman, I'm not aware of any violations on the site in its history.
I think it's a great place for.
I think to the applicant's perspective and some of the comments, I actually think a lot of the folks around there probably patronize a lot of these establishments too. So we've not had any issues. And you know, to Councilor Chandler's point on the concern about late night, I don't foresee, you know, if there was ever entertainment, I'm picturing the acoustic guitar person. I'm not picturing Metallica, you know, at 11 p.m. You know, I'm picturing the acoustic guitar, which a lot of people like, you know, as background. Most of our entertainment licenses, by the way, to Councilor Chandler's question are generally the solo acoustic guitar person, playing Dave Matthews covers.
So they're not going to be able to get Aerosmith back in town?
Peace out, maybe.
They're on their final tour.
You never know.
You never know. Last chance.
But, yeah, no, I'm totally in support of this. I think we got to give these people a chance to, they've had a tough go at it, and they're a great family, and it's a great place to go grab a pizza, so I'm totally in support of this.
Thank you, Councilor DeLorco. Councilor Frangillo.
Yeah, I would just say that I support all the reasons why we should grant you a liquor license, and I wish you the best of luck. I just hope that you view, I mean, it's not every day that we get this many neighbors concerned about impacts, and I hope you see that as an opportunity and a sort of reminder to be a good neighbor and make sure that we're treating not only the individuals with respect, but particularly the concern of that pond, and just making sure that we're you know, strong neighbors and cleaning up and watching for any violations. And you know, at the end of the day, this is something that still needs approval every year. So you know, I hope that you are responsible with it. But I think you will be, and I look forward to visiting.
Thank you, Councilor Frangillo. Councilor Hamblin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am just going to echo what Councilor Frangillo said. He took my last point. Everyone else took all my other points. I think we've seen recently that eatery establishments need to have liquor. It's expected of them. I just, and especially when you go to sit down to eat a meal, people want to have a drink. And it's really, I understand the concern of the neighbors, but I know that these people have worked with the town. They've been great partners, and I'm sure if there's any noise issue that you'll help the neighbors out, and you can continue to have kind of a conversation with them about it if they come to you. And as Council Frangillo said, we get to look at these licenses every year, and if there's issues, then we'll all have to work together. And so that is why I think it would be a great thing for you to have this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Hamblin. Any other councilors? Councilor Pellegrini.
I too am in favor of this. In fact, this was one of the first times I've ever got some phone calls at home telling me and asking me to go along with this. I was very surprised to hear that, and they were from people that I didn't even know. So we wish you luck, and just keep in mind your neighbors and to be friendly and courteous to them. I think that's all we're asking, okay? And good luck to you.
Thank you, Councilor Pellegrini. Any other councilors? Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to approve liquor license for all alcohol, common victular, all alcohol license for Here Come Two Greeks, LLC, DBA Sierras. Who are the two Greeks?
That's what I was just going to ask that question.
Brick Oven Pizza and Pub, located at 370 King Street. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Okay, moving on. We have we have three presentations.
Two other licenses, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We do.
Administrative ones.
B and C. They're not public hearings, right? Okay, the next license modification is a change of manager. Rare Hospitality International, Inc., doing business as Longhorn Steakhouse, located at 250 Franklin Village Drive, Franklin, Mass. 02038. Clerk will read the license transaction.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. License transaction, change of manager for Rare Hospitality International Incorporated, doing business as Longhorn Steakhouse, located at 250 Franklin Village Drive, Franklin, Massachusetts, 02038. Rare Hospitality International Incorporated, doing business as Longhorn Steakhouse, is seeking approval for a change of manager on their Section 12 restaurant all alcoholic beverages license. The new manager will be Michael Barbosa. All departments have signed off on this application.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Jamie?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, pretty straightforward. All departments have signed off, and I believe Michael is here in the back. Yep. Yeah. Do you want us to come up real quick, Mike? That's it.
Thank you, Jamie.
I haven't made a motion
Yeah, you did.
No, I
You
didn't.
made
You
a
did.
second.
This,
Oh, well, you got to make the motion.
Yep, motion to approve the request for Rare Hospitality International Incorporated to do business as Longhorn Steakhouse, change of manager to Michael Barbosa.
Second.
That's a second.
Motion and a second. Okay, discussion from the council.
Good luck.
Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to approve the license modification, change of manager, Rare Hospitality International, doing business as Longhorn Steakhouse, located 250 Franklin Village Drive, Franklin. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much. You have a
Thank
great evening.
You too.
Keep up the good work over there. It's a great restaurant.
Thank you very much for working hard at it.
I'm sure. License modification, change of officers, directors, LLC, 99 Restaurant of Boston, LLC, doing business as 99 Restaurant, located at 847 West Central Street. Clerk will read the license modification.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is license transaction, change of officers, directors, LLC managers for 99 Restaurants of Boston, LLC. Doing business as the 99 Restaurant located at 847 West Central Street, Franklin, Mass. 02038. 99 Restaurants of Boston, LLC, DBA 99 Restaurant is seeking approval for change of officers, directors, LLC managers on their Section 12 restaurant all alcoholic beverages license. Wendy Harkness is being removed as the LLC manager and secretary. Charles Nose is being removed as the LLC manager, and President Kurt Schnobelt is being removed as the LLC manager and CFO. The new LLC managers will be Clint Leighton Schlager, Marjorie Numzura, and Philip Purcell, Mark Spurgeon, and Kara Jacobs. The ABCC has granted this preliminary approval, and this is a motion to approve the request by the 99 Restaurants of Boston LLC, DBA 99 Restaurant, for change of offices, directors, LLC managers as described above.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion, Jamie.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, so this is one of those that hopefully if the legislature and governor ever fix the liquor laws, this will be one of the changes, because the ABCC has already approved this. It's dealing with stock and corporate owners, but we're required to bring it down here to rubber stamp it and send it back to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the council? Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion for the change of officers, directors, LLC managers, 99 Restaurants of Boston, LLC doing business as 99 Restaurant, located at 847 West Central Street. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now, we will move to presentations and discussions. We have three this evening. The first one is one of our annual favorites, the presentation of the FY22 financial audit. Scott McIntyre, partner, Markham LLP. Would you like to kick it off, Jamie?
Sure. Perfect. We were able to kick enough time out for the projector to come on. I just want to give everybody a heads up. I think all of you have been through this at least once or twice before, but this is the annual financial statements and audit for the town. Scott McIntyre from Melanson. I can't remember the new name, Scott. I'm very sorry. I know you merged and there's a new company name. Melanson Heath. It's the same one we had, but there's a new. All right, thank you. And so Scott's going to run through our financial statements. I just want to thank obviously all of the finance staff, the treasurer collector's office, assessors. Everybody does a phenomenal job. And I think you're about to hear about another clean report. And we're maintaining our AAA bond status. So you want to take it away, Scott? And just let me know, Scott, what number page you're on.
Of course. Thank you, Jamie. And members of the council, thanks for the opportunity to come in to this meeting with you and walk through very quickly our results of our audit of your financial statements for the year ended June 30, 2022. Jamie, I'm going to begin on page, it's PDF page 4, which is our opinion. But before I do, I want to run through a couple of quick things. As the town administrator said, the report is issued as Melanson CPAs, but in January we did merge with Markham LLP. I can take any questions that you may have on that. The long and short of it is, so few students are going into accounting these days that we just found ourselves needing some additional resources. So we teamed up with a larger firm. The governmental team that's existed at Melanson CPAs is all still here. We lead the governmental practice of the combined firms. And again, it was just to add some resources to our bench to continue to serve local governments in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And again, I can answer any questions that the council may have on that. And before I start walking through the opinion, there's some required communications that I'd like to go through with the town council. I've done this in the last couple of years. Really, there's three major things. Giving you an idea of how the audit went. The audit went very well. What that means in the most basic terms that I can think of is, in a way to describe it, is we found your books and records to be in good working order, and that all key account balances, cash, receivables, long-term debts, payables, were all reconciled on a regular and timely basis. And as a result of that, we did not need to propose any significant audit entries as a result of the work we did on your financial statements. One of the other required communications deals with any disagreements between the town and our firm. Generally speaking, that refers to disagreements on how to apply generally accepted accounting principles. And I'm happy to report there were no disagreements, pardon me, that's the word I'm looking for, no disagreements on how to apply generally accepted accounting principles. And the last of the three major required communications deals with estimates. There are several in your financial statements, the largest of which are your net pension liability and some of the related accounts, your net OPEB liability and the related accounts associated with that, Others include the estimated useful life of your capital assets and allowance for, uncollectible receivables. But really, the two largest deal with your pension liability and OPEB liability. I think it's important to remember that those are actuarially determined by actuaries using their set of standards. Those accounts are certainly subject to our audit. We review the assumptions associated with them that are outlined in the footnotes to the financial statements for reasonableness and consistency with other governments, and whether or not those assumptions are realizable. So that was all part of our audit work on the estimates. And so really those are the required communications, and probably the most important communication you'll hear from me tonight. The rest I'm going to walk through a couple of the account balances that I think warrant the attention of those charged with governance, the town council. And as I pointed out, Jamie, I don't see the screen, but I'm assuming you have PDF page 4 up. Oh, there it is.
That's correct.
This is our opinion on your financial statements. If you were to look real closely at it, it looks different than prior years, but it is really not. It's the same thing. As I think Jamie indicated, it's a clean or an unmodified opinion. It looks different because just as accounting standards change, auditing standards change as well. And one of the changes that we had to implement as an audit firm was one of the statement of auditing standards that modified the report. It basically says the same thing, it's just in a different order. Really, I wish it was something more than that, but really, instead of starting with what we did and ending with our opinion, now page 4 starts with our opinion, and then at the bottom it tells you the standards that we followed. Really, that's the long and short of the change. Jamie, if I could now ask you to turn, or go to slide 17, PDF page 17. This is, as I've mentioned to the council in the past, there are both a long-term perspective set of financial statements and a short-term perspective financial statements. Most of the conversation will be on the short-term, the general fund, if you will, but we don't believe that any conversation about a local government's financial statements is really complete without talking about the long-term perspective, and in particular, the net pension liability and the net OPEB liability. If you look in that first column of numbers, right about in the middle of the page, and again, that first column of numbers, you see your net pension liability of $28.4 million, and right below that is your net OPEB liability of $73.9. OPEB standing for OPEB, or other post-employment benefits. And what that really means is retiree health care. Just a quick point of reference, the net pension liability is down about $10 million over the prior year. It's very important it's all outlined in the footnotes, but it's very important for the readers and anyone listening here tonight to understand that that liability is your proportional share of Norfolk County's retirement system's unfunded liability. And it's measured as of 12/31/21. Standards permit you to use an earlier measurement date because the retirement system has a 12/31 year end. Why is that important? Because through the end of calendar 21, investment returns in general were very strong. So those strong investment earnings brought that liability down. I can't make any projections as to what the investment returns are like through the end of calendar 22, but I'm sure those reports from the county retirement system will be coming out. If it's anything like some of the ones I've seen that have already come out, there's a good chance that liability goes back up because of investment earnings not meeting the expectations. So, and below that again is the net OPEB liability. That's up slightly. It's up a couple $1 million over the prior year. One thing I'm pretty sure I pointed this out last year, but one of the key assumptions that the town uses, and it's a fine assumption, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, I just think it's important for people to understand. One of the key assumptions in funding your OPEB liability is that in 7 years, when your retirement system contribution is expected to essentially mature, the town is planning to take about $7 million annually that have been paid into the Norfolk County retirement system and redirect those towards funding OPEB. That's a key assumption and a valid assumption. It's just one that we think should be, it's in the footnotes to your financial statements. It's widely disclosed in there. I just thought it's appropriate to bring it to everybody's attention. With that, Jamie, if we could go a couple of pages over to page 19. Page 19 is the short-term perspective balance sheet. and much of the focus here is going to be on the general fund, or the first column of numbers. I do want to very quickly point out the second column of numbers going left to right. It's called your federal grants fund. Just like in the prior year, mathematically it is defined as a major fund. It just means it has, at this point, it has its own balance sheet, and on a couple of pages afterwards, its statement of revenues and expenditures. And it's major because if you look in that second column of numbers, about in the middle of the page, you see an account balance of just under $3.9 million, called unearned revenue. Essentially, that $3.9 million is some of the ARPA money that you've received, and has gone and was unspent as of 6/30/22. Accounting standards don't permit you to recognize that revenue until you do something with that revenue. Pardon me, that cash received. And that something has to be expending those dollars. So when you expend those dollars, you'll simultaneously recognize the revenue that is part of the cash that you have in your bank account as of June 30, 2022. It'll help match up the revenues and expenditures. Now, with that quick little note on the other major fund, other than the general fund, if we focus on the general fund for a minute, the focus is almost always in the bottom section of the column of the general fund. And the second number up from the bottom, your total fund balance is almost $27.5 million. That's up over $2 million over the prior year in total. And it's because, collections were strong, and there were some appropriation turnbacks by departments during fiscal year 22. Probably the number that gets the most focus is the third number up from the bottom. It's your unassigned fund balance, with an account balance of $15,270,000. That account balance is up about $900,000 over the prior year. So you see a nice increase in that key unassigned fund balance account. And collectively, that 15.27 million represents about 11% of your general fund expenditures in fiscal year 22. That's consistent with, as Jamie was pointing out, a AAA rated community. It's not the only element that a rating agency will look for, but the majority of AAA rated communities that our firm deals with has in excess of 10%. It has an unassigned fund balance in excess of 10% of its expenditures. I would want to point out that unassigned fund balance is really made up of two different pieces. One I would call your true general fund, or what ultimately becomes your certified free cash, and the other component is your stabilization funds. UMIS, that the town follows, promulgated by the Department of Revenue, requires you to have stabilization as its own fund. It's almost considered a trust fund. But GAAP, or generally accepted accounting principles, requires you in your audit to combine your general fund and your stabilization funds into one column. So if we take a quick breakdown of that $15.27 million, it would come out as follows. Sort of your true general fund, which is the starting point for your certification of free cash, of about $6.8 million, and your general stabilizations are about $8.4 million, and collectively they combine to about $15.2 million. In both pieces of that 15.2, the free cash portion, that's up a few hundred thousand, and stabilization is also up a few $100,000, and collectively it's up just under $1 million. The other types of fund balances that are there are your assigned fund balance. That's essentially encumbrances that were carried forward into fiscal year 23. The committed fund balance is a lot of other reserve accounts. For those that might be interested, you can see a detail of those on PDF page 45 of your financial statements. So that's a very, very quick walkthrough of our audit in your financial statements, both a quick note on the long-term perspective financial statements, highlighting the pension and OPEB issues, and of course a discussion of your general fund balance, which again, in total is up several millions of dollars, and your unassigned fund balance is up just under $1 million, and both components of that, the free cash portion and the stabilization fund, are up. Budgetary results were solid during the year. Again, that's in the very back of the report. For anyone who's interested, I want to point out that that's available for readers as well. And with that, I will try to answer any questions that the council may have.
Thank you. Jamie, Chris, anything to add?
Nope.
Councilors, question. Councilor Pellegrini.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know that in the past you have made recommendations for changes in that, and I didn't hear you say anything about that tonight. Does that mean that we are really right on top of things and no changes need to be made?
The town is very much right on top of things. We did not issue a management letter. We talked with Chris about a couple of things, and you should be aware that there are a couple of new GASBs. If I haven't mentioned GASB in this conversation, that's the Governmental Accounting Standards Board. There's a few new standards that they've put out. They seem to put them out regularly at this point in time that will require efforts on behalf of the town. There's 2 new standards that are applicable for FY23, and so some efforts will be required of the finance team there in Franklin to implement those new standards.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Pellegrini. Councilor Chandler?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. Hi, Scott. Is he still there?
Yeah,
okay.
he's still there.
All right, great. We have, about $2 million in our stabilization fund. And obviously, everybody wants more of everything, so some people talk about taking that money. But when you do our whole assessment, does that greatly help the town look good that we have, say, $2 million in the stabilization fund?
3.
What'd you say, 3?
3.
Even better, 3, excuse me. I was just wondering where that fits in your assessment.
Yeah. I think it certainly helps you from a credit rating standpoint. It shows a willingness of the community in the town council to put money into a fund should it be needed, and it shows a commitment to funding in maintaining the working capital that's needed for operations as well as capital, because that's what you do with a lot with your free cash. I know you were asking specifically about stabilization, but another element of a credit rating agency looking at you is that you use your free cash typically, and almost always in the last couple of years, you used it for capital. That's another credit strength for Franklin.
That was my question. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Chandler. Thank you, Councilor Cormier-Ledger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, Scott, for the presentation. I just really wanted to make a statement in support of the staff and volunteers for another great year, another great financial record. Like, not all communities can celebrate a AAA bond rating. Not all communities can celebrate not getting a management letter from their audit firm, and the fact that everybody works so well together and keeps an eye on the money, and that literally every T is crossed and every I is dotted, I think is very, very important for the public to understand. So thank you, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Councilor Cormier-Ledger. What were you all set?
No, Brian got
Brian got your question.
Did I realize? Sorry.
Councilor Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ditto to Councilor Cormier-Ledger over there. I mean, you guys hear me say this just about every single year that you come in. Scott, thank you for the presentation. What the town should take from this, what the community should take from this, is that our administration, our staff, our finance department, our treasury department, and everyone else who has a part in that really care about every single dollar that the taxpayer puts into this community. And they're great stewards of our taxes, they're great stewards of the money, and I just want to commend everybody who puts a lot of hard work into making this report. Every single year comes back, and with no recommendations, manager reports or whatever, it's just, I actually get excited when these reports come across our desk every single year. I know it sounds weird, but thank you so much, and again, I agree with Councilor Cormier-Ledger on that.
Thank you, Councilor Jones. Councilor Frangillo.
Yeah, thank you. I echo all the gratitude for our staff who work hard on this. I'm hoping to understand, and through understanding, clarify what this means and what it doesn't. It's my sense that what I'm hearing from you is, A, we do a good job of keeping track of spent money and, knowing where money is, where it's been spent, and sort of just keeping our books in order. And B, we are a reasonably strong bet that if we borrow money, we'll be able to pay that back in a reasonable time. Is that a fair sort of encapsulation of what we should take from this?
Yes, I think it is. What I tried to articulate was, probably, I think I said probably the most important communication you'd get from me tonight was when I told you that the books and records are in good working order. That's probably a better takeaway than even, your fund balance is, I turned the page so I don't have it in front of me, I think it was like $15 million or something like that. I think the best takeaway you can come away with is that our audit went well and we did not need to propose any significant audit entries.
And would it also be fair to say that what it's not trying to say is that there's a certain quality of life that you want in Franklin, and your ability to pay for that quality of life is strong, or trying to make any statement on that, on a certain quality of schools and a certain quality of roads and senior center and all of that?
Well, look, I'm not really trying to dodge your question, but that's really not what you hired us to do.
Yes.
You hired us to audit the financial statements and determine whether the books and records are in good working order, and give you our thoughts and our professional opinion on the disclosures and the financial statements as a whole. When it comes to quality of life in Franklin, look, it's a lovely town. I've been there many times doing the audit. It's not something my profession gives an opinion on.
No numbers.
Jamie?
Scott, we have a new restaurant with a liquor license, so if you want to eat out, you've went through, every year you come through, there's always new liquor licenses, so bon appetit.
Councilor Frangillo.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and I think that was,
Thank you.
It didn't mean to sound as a dumb question, but I think it's easy to hear, their finances are in order, like, what are they saying when they need money? But when finances in order mean that we're paying our bills, it doesn't mean that we're able to afford the quality of life that we might want to afford here in Franklin. I'm hoping that makes sense.
Jamie.
I think what hopefully the takeaway is that the taxpayers and the ratepayers should really have a lot of faith in the entire staff, in the entire organization, every department, and hopefully, this proves to them that we're doing all the best things we can. So does it relate necessarily to quality of life? In terms of the senior center, maybe not, like in terms of the actual deliverable, but in terms of trust, in terms of faith, in terms of sustainability, in terms of those things, I think it does actually, there is a closer link that you're getting to. There is a closer link to, get to that more quality of life question where, a lot of the folks hopefully in town hear this, year after year, and we try to do it before the budget hearings on purpose, right? To make sure that people, when we go into the budget hearings, do have faith. As Councilor Pellegrini said earlier, there's nothing really there's no recommendations here to do better. We just know there's going to be more regulations we're going to have to follow in a couple of years.
Do better with books and records.
Right.
I think I reached my clarity, and hopefully enough clarity for now.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Frangillo. Councilor Hamblin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Scott, for this report, and thank you to everyone that works for us. It's incredible, as Councilor Cormier just said, to hear every year how well we do. There is one thing I just wanted to make sure everybody noticed, that, and I think this might point a little bit to the quality of life here in Franklin, is the net position increased due to investments in land. So that's our open space that we bought recently, which is really important. And the capital assets like infrastructure to make sure the roads and the water is clean and those kind of things. And so I think that's what I got from this, through the quality of life that we have here in Franklin. So, but thank you, Scott, and thank you to the staff. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Hamblin. Is there any other questions or comments from the council? Anyone in council chambers have a question or a comment? Mr. Sherlock, please, name and address, please.
Yes, Steve Sherlock, 10 Lawrence Drive, citizen journalist. Let me put that in perspective as well to paint the color, because respectfully, this was on this last year's report. Having sat in this chair and seen a number of you and a number of other people in your roles before, I recall going back to 2008, we've had some significant issues. There were many years of management letters with all kinds of requirements. One of them came along with doing a risk assessment, which was done a couple of years ago, and it's being redone. So the statement, to the extent that the books are good, there is no management letter. This is like at least the third or fourth year in a row. We have come a long way, so I just wanted to paint that picture to reinforce that for the citizens. Because I, at least on your behalf, have been sitting here and watching all this happening, and this is goodness. So thank you, and congrats to you, and congrats to the finance staff.
Thank you, Steve.
Well said.
Is there anyone out in Zoom land that has a question or a comment?
Hello.
Hello?
Hi.
Name and address,
I'm just-
please.
My name is Sharon Angeli. I live at 40 Quince Landing in Spruce Pond.
Yes.
So I sent all the town council, everybody on the council, an email, and somebody was supposed to come in because I couldn't get time out
Yes,
of
it
work.
was. Sorry to interrupt you, but your friend did come in, make the presentation, and the council heard it, the audience spoke, there were a couple of people that spoke, and the liquor license was granted. We're on another subject now.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Get me out of here.
Okay. Seeing no further questions on the audit, I'd just like to say, Scott, thank you very much for another great presentation and for another great report, more importantly. And it truly is a credit to our administrative team, municipal floor 2, the entire business offices. I think it's a credit to all the work that they've done. It's also a credit to the town council for all the work that we do and the directives we give to the town administrator and to the staff. So thank you one and all. We're in good shape as we move into 2023. Scott, thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
You too. Okay. Next item on the agenda, presentation and discussion. Presentation from Charles River Pollution Control District. Elizabeth Taglieri, Executive Director, Charles River Pollution Control. Elizabeth, if you'd like to introduce your team.
Absolutely, I would, yes. So thank you. So I'm Liz Taglieri, Executive Director at the district. I've been at the district for 13 years, the Executive Director for 9. I have a background in environmental engineering, also a grade 7 wastewater operator. So as for our team, I have our Franklin commissioners are here. So David Formato is our chairman. Wolfgang.
Welcome.
Wolfgang Bauer is our vice chairman, and Mark Cataldo is our clerk. We do have 2 other representatives from Medway who aren't here today, Doug Downing and Ted Kenny. And then Kristen Macherny is in the audience as well. She is the engineer and IPP coordinator. She's also been at the district for 12 years. So thank you for having us. I'm going to just jump right in. So we are we're a regional wastewater treatment plant. We're located in Medway, Massachusetts. We're right on Village Street, kind of near the Millis line there on the southeast corner. So the district was founded and established in 1973 by the towns of Medway and Franklin. Franklin owned about a little over 80% of the treatment plant at that time. Then in 1980, Millis and Bellingham purchased capacity from both Medway and Franklin in order to become customers. And so we have those are the 4 communities that are sewered: Millis, Medway, Franklin, and Bellingham. In that original construction, the treatment plant was designed for 4.54 million gallons per day of wastewater that we could treat. And then in the late 1990s, we upgraded the facility and were able to add some additional capacity to what we have now, which is the 5.7 MGD total capacity. And of that, Franklin owned 63.9%, which is 3.642 million gallons per day. We did do a major upgrade. I'm sure you saw some of that with the rate increases. That was in 2012 and 2016, yep. Total, it was about $30 million. That was really to replace all of that aging equipment from that original construction. We were able to cap our on-site landfill, which has some of the solids that we produce. That's where we put it for a while. And then we also were able to meet a more stringent phosphorus limit with that upgrade. Those loans are due to be paid off in 10 to 14 years. They are 20-year SRF loans. So here you can see a map of our collection system. So the 4 towns are there. The light brown lines are all the town sewer. So there's over 240 miles of sewer between the 4 towns. Franklin has just under 150 miles. And then the district owns 13 miles of what we call interceptors. Those are large diameter pipes that conveys multiple towns' flows to the treatment facility. And that you can see are those blue lines. They're a little tough to see on the here, but and then you can see where the treatment plant is in Medway, right on the Millis and Franklin corner there. And of the 13 miles that the district owns, 9 of that is actually in Franklin. We also have one pump station that the district owns that is right by BJ's in Franklin. If you're driving into BJ's and you just keep going straight, there's a little building there on the right. That's actually our pump station that pumps wastewater from Bellingham and Franklin, including Grelick Farms. And it goes actually under 495, under the Mine Brook, and then back into the regular gravity feed collection system. And so, you know, the towns own their system. The district, we just own that 13 miles, but, you know, we're all 5 entities are inspecting, looking for infiltration inflow in the sewer system, which is very important. Infiltration is groundwater getting in. Inflow could be from illegal sump pumps connected in, or roof drains, things like that. So you always see something. There's always some I&I in any. We're what's called a closed system, where stormwater is not allowed, unlike other, larger treatment facilities. Some of them do have that connected, but we're a separate system. So this is a picture, an overview of the district here. You can see there's a number of tanks. We have our main building on the lower portion of the picture. Just has another tank, another building. But essentially what we do is we do what nature normally would have done, and we speed it up and we make it more efficient. We have physical processes where we have things settling in tanks. We have the solid settling in tanks that's doing our treatment. We have biological treatment where we have actually microorganisms that are consuming the organics and treating it for us. And then we have chemical treatment where we add chemicals like ferric chloride, ferrous chloride to precipitate out and take out that phosphorus. Phosphorus is one of our major drivers in our treatment at the facility. So I have some pictures. I don't want to go into too much detail, but if you would like a tour, I would love to take you on one, and we can go into more detail on all the processes. I won't bring you into this area. This is our headworks. This is where all the wastewater comes in that big interceptor. It's 54 inches, comes in. This is 4 or 5 stories underground. we are able to screen out some big things, whether it's a 2x4, a rock, anything can get in there. I will say we do have a lot of wipes, so this is my little plug. Please don't put wipes down the toilet. They don't dissolve like toilet paper. Even if it says flushable, that just means it'll get through your toilet, but it won't help us.
That's a good point.
Yep, so it's not flushable. And so in our headworks, we have what's called a wet well, where we're able to pump all of the wastewater up to ground level, and then it flows through by gravity through the rest of the facility. This is a picture of a primary clarifier. This is where we put the water in and the solids settle. 50% of the solids and organics are removed through this mechanism. And the tank's million-gallon tank. The wastewater's in there for multiple hours. These are aeration tanks. That's where the microorganisms live, and they treat the wastewater. We have a section with no air that allows us to do a little bit of biological phosphorus removal, and then we add air for that regular, just organic treatment. These are our secondary clarifiers. This is where those microorganisms actually settle, and it allows this nice clear water to be at the top, which will overflow the tanks and go on to the next process. We have 4 different ones that we use. And then from there it goes on to filtration. So we have a traveling bridge filter and a disc filter. They're just the same type of filter. It's like a shag carpet material. It's a 5-micron cloth. One great thing with the traveling bridge filter is that was a sand gravity filter originally, and we were able to retrofit it in that $30 million upgrade and make it into a new filter that was able to treat more capacity there. In that upgrade, I wanted to mention too that we did not build any new buildings, we did not build any new tanks. Everything we did was within existing structures. And that was one example. These are our chlorine contact chambers. So we add sodium hypochlorite is just a high strength bleach that is added to disinfect the wastewater, or at this point it's very clear water. And then we do add sodium bisulfite at the end to dechlorinate it so that it's safe for the aquatic organisms and fish life in the river. And from there, it actually flows down literally concrete stairs. We call it a cascade. It allows it to re-aerate the water so that the water is at the proper dissolved oxygen so the aquatic life can survive in it. Our effluent flows under Village Street, and it enters the Charles River after Populatic Pond, and eventually makes its way into Boston. This is what we call a gravity belt thickener. I just wanted to show it. Basically, those primary and secondary clarifiers, when those solids settle, we need to remove them. So we put them on this gravity belt thickener. It's essentially like a conveyor belt material where the water goes through the belt and the solids stay on top. We're able to thicken it, and we do send that off-site. It actually goes to Upper Blackstone in Millbury, which is another treatment facility where they incinerate it. So that was a lot in one little section on the treatment plant. I'm sorry to rush through that, but I know we have some more kind of figures that we want to talk through. But this is some historical data on all 4 communities and their flows to the district. We are able to measure the flows coming from each town throughout the collection system. What I've circled there on the bottom is Franklin's flows. So we like to look at it as a 3-year average daily flow, so that way we can account for drought years like last year, or when we have high rainfall like in other years. We will see variations in flow with the weather. So the 3-year average for 2020 through 2022 was this 2.609 million gallons per day. We do work with the towns to kind of estimate, what capacity or what sewer is going to be used in some of the growth that's happening. So you have a development coming in, it's going to be on sewer. We project that in there, so we've added that number in, which gives like a 3-year average plus that projected flow, which is the 2.68 million gallons per day. With the capacity of 3.64, Franklin's only, using 72 to 74% of the capacity, which is in a really great spot. We will see Some of the other towns are using a little bit more, anywhere from in the 60s to 80% of their actual flows for their capacity and projecting into the 90%. I'll talk a little bit more about that in the next slide. But this is just, kind of where we're at with our flows coming in. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what's coming up, what you might see coming forward. We did have the large, $30 million upgrade, so I don't foresee, anything large coming through. You never know. I will say that, but we are trying to do small capital, projects in-house in our normal annual budget. Little things here and there, trying to avoid having these large upgrades if we can. One thing we are looking at though is that pump station I talked about by BJ's and that force main that is 30 years old. So we have been working with Franklin and Bellingham to determine, what condition that pipe is in. We'll be doing some inspections to see the condition. It's a ductile iron pipe, and it would be, if something happened to that pipe, bypassing that pipe for a short period, for a time period to fix it would be extremely expensive. So we want to avoid that. So we'll be looking at that coming up. Some other costs that we might see a little bit down the line on the sludge removal costs. So that's with that gravity belt thickener where we send it to Upper Blackstone. Those sludge removal costs are about 25% of our O&M budget, so it is quite a lot of money to do that. And that market is very volatile. Luckily, we are under a contract till 2027, but when that does come for renewal, there may be some significant increases there. But there's so much unknowns right now with the PFA regulations, disposal sites closing and whatnot, that things could look very different come 2027. But that is out there. Our chemical costs, I know the towns have seen similar things, but last year with everything, with the crazy world we're in, we had chemical costs increasing from anywhere from 15% to 132%. That was a rough day, I will say that, when we opened those bids. We were able to buffer that though, and this year we really looked at our process and really were efficient in our chemical use and tried to buffer some of those increases. We do have the bid opening in 2 weeks for this next year, and we're hoping not to see as much increases, but that is always out there. As I kind of mentioned on the last slide with capacity, there has been some very initial discussion on increasing the capacity and finding some more capacity for Medway, Millis, and Bellingham, with them being projecting into the 90% of their capacity. We're working with DEP on that, and Franklin DPW personnel are involved in that as well. We are, it may go through the treatment plant, but it also may be a packaged treatment plant, a smaller thing in the towns or a smaller regional item. We don't know, we haven't even done a study yet, but that discussion is happening. And then a piece of good news is that we did lock in a third-party electrical supply rate back in 2021. And just in 2022 calendar year, we saved $500,000 by being in that rather than having a variable rate.
Nice job.
So that was great.
Yeah.
And we're locked in on that low rate till 2025.
That's great.
So, yes, that was my big spiel there. I wanted to.
So at this time, do you guys have any questions for Liz or Charles River District before I?
Sure, I'm sure we do. Councilor Frangillo.
Yeah, thank you. That was cool. You're catching me fresh after visiting the Deer Island.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
And I got a full
Great.
tour of that last week.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm
So you know it.
fully
Great.
into wastewater right now.
Yep.
But so I had a few questions. One, and these are in particular order. One was just what to make of the usage rates. It feels like our usage rate is much higher than other communities per capita. Just like, I mean, it's higher overall, but it still seems to be like higher just in terms of like usage per. Is that even the right way to think about it? Are there ways that like we could be otherwise diverting how
For usage rate, what do you?
The number was like 2.609, the sort of 3-year
So Franklin has the most flow coming to the district.
Flow, sorry,
Yeah,
flow.
We have the
'cause
largest
lo-
population that's connected.
Yeah.
But it still seemed to be higher per capita. Like, it didn't seem, because it was like over, it was like 2.5 times what Medway is, which I don't think our population is 2.5.
Gurelick is about 30% of it.
Okay.
So there's.
the water in town
Yeah.
every day.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's helpful. Yeah, it was just
Yep.
more just like, is there something that I should be, that we should be taking from that in terms of like,
Also to the populations, like if you look at the population of, that's on sewer in Franklin and the population on sewer in Medway, they're not the same. So it's,
Yeah,
you
because
know
there
what I'm
are,
saying?
there are a lot of customers that are actually, or a lot of people that are on septic, so they wouldn't be connected in to the district if they're on septic.
That's the disparity between the population. You can't just look at the numbers
Yeah.
of people in the communities.
And just to add, you used to have a sewer treatment plant here in the 50s. They built condos on it across from the pump station of
Yeah.
495.
Yeah.
Franklin was sewered back in the 50s, so the other towns weren't even have any sewer. So they had sewer a lot longer than other towns. And that's why they built the regional treatment plant in the 70s.
okay. That's all very helpful, thank you. Yeah, and then I guess sort of related, and this is more just me thinking out loud, but on one hand, the capacity piece feels cool that like, all right, we have more to grow, and you know, that's an opportunity, we don't have to be as like concerned about it immediately, but it also seems like that means that everyone's paying like more per amount of sewer than were we at 80-90% capacity. Is that a fair way to think about that?
Let me turn this around a little bit.
Get on the microphone.
Yeah. Franklin right now is the only one with excess capacity. And what I want to say with that is, when you're talking about good government and thinking ahead, in 78 or whatever the date was,
78.
they got all this capacity versus the other towns. The other towns are struggling. In fact,
Yeah.
some would like to buy capacity. Now, I don't think that the capacity and the use of the capacity has anything to do with the growth. In other words, this was put way out when, and whatever happened to the development is still way within the limits of the capacity that the sewer plant has.
Yeah.
So even, I think, even at build-out, Franklin will have excess capacity. And I think from your comments earlier, I do think that the per gallon, per person amount is, on water usage is actually going down.
Cool.
So,
Yeah,
I mean,
both of
nation,
those are helpful, yeah.
around the whole community and the whole area.
Yeah.
But it's the people in 78 or whatever date it was, looking forward, did their job, because if you had to do it now, there's no federal aid. It used to be 90% or 95% federal aid. Now you're paying for it yourself. And so that foresight is not recognized very often, and that's what I'm trying to highlight.
Understood. Councilman Frangillo, you still?
Yeah, that was helpful, thank you. And then my final set of questions is sort of on that electricity piece, and it's sort of on the sludge piece. It seems like, I mean, certainly Deer Island has massive ones, but it seems like most of, or a lot of wastewater treatment plants have on-site anaerobic digestion systems to you know, deal somewhat with the byproduct and produce electricity on site. Is there a reason we don't, or am I missing? Maybe that just wasn't part of the conversation.
Yep, so we are, you know, a medium-sized treatment facility. We would absolutely, if we were to put something like that on site, would need to be able to have enough coming in from other facilities. We did do a very preliminary study, it must have been probably 7 or 6 years ago. And it was quite expensive. I think it was $20 million then, just to put one in. And it didn't make, you know, financial sense at the time, you know, to do that. But as those costs increase, that might be something, you know, that comes back up into discussion.
Or if other towns increase capacity, that might change stuff. Yeah. That's cool. I mean, essentially, is that what we're doing? We're just like selling it off to an anaerobic digester?
No, they incinerate it.
They just incinerate it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yep, so it's not, you know, getting used for that benefit.
Are they making energy with the, I don't know what they do.
I think they just recycle some of the off gases and the heat to reheat the incinerator to get out the temperature. But yeah, they're not. They don't have any like combined power generation.
And thank you. That's all helpful. And then you know, the other things that we're seeing there is just because it's a large facility with a pretty large footprint. They were producing a good amount of solar on site. Is that something that
We have a small,
ever
very
looked
small,
into?
20 kilowatts, so tiny, but we got it with the air funding back in 2010. And we have a little bit. We have looked at it. We're too small to put it on our landfill, but we do have it graded for that if we wanted to. But they would really, a developer would come in and they would clear cut the forest around us, which just doesn't seem to be environmentally friendly in
Yeah.
our sense.
That's really cool. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Councilor Frangillo. Councilor Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the presentation, by the way, great job. I've worked personally, built many of the water treatment plants. The first one I worked on was the Salem sewage plant back in 1992. Very familiar with the operation. This is where I usually throw in a really bad joke, but I'm not going to.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Can we say But in all honesty, the facility, which is a great facility, and you're doing a great job managing the facility, I think it's one of those assets that I think many people really don't understand the importance of, and how ability to recapture much of the water that's in our sewer system and put it back into the Charles River in such a manner that we're repurposing the water, but we're not killing the fish at the same time. But you do a great job of managing that. I'm glad we had this presentation because I really hope that people understand how important this facility is to our sewer system and maintaining, I think, a part of the system that nobody likes to talk about, but needs to be talked about, because if it's not maintained and it's not taken care of appropriately, and it fails, that would be a catastrophic effect on all of our communities. And thank you for your presentation today.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Jones. Councilor Hamblin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Liz. I was going to ask about solar to help with or wind or any kind of green energy. I just have a quick question. Like, when a gallon of wastewater goes into this system, how long does it take it to get out the other end?
Yeah, it takes 1 day.
A whole day.
A whole day. Yep.
Goes through all the different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, like, the life of the.
Yeah,
like
one
a
drop
day in the
in.
life of a drop of waste. That was funny, guys.
It's like, hey, where did that go?
Everything
like
you
one of those
ever
things-
wanted to know about waste.
Well, it's very interesting, and it's really important to know, right?
is.
Because
It
we
is.
produce it, and we need to take care of it and everything.
No
And
wipes down the toilet, right?
yes,
I
no
did not
wipes
know
down the
that.
toilets.
Did not know that.
Yeah, we're working on that in the Environmental and Energy
Yeah.
Policy Committee, to get something on those wipes. And this will give me more
Ammunition.
information.
Yes.
Yeah, ammunition, yes.
There you
Thank
go.
you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Hamblin. Councilor Sheridan.
Thank you so much for all the info, everybody. So how clean is the water when it leaves?
So we can't drink it,
Okay.
but it is safe for recreation. Yeah.
No, you can eat the fish from it in theory?
Yeah.
Okay, and swim?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's a huge improvement from the 1970s. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Better than
Because I remember that. I grew up along the Charles River, hearing about
Yeah.
Yeah.
how people used to swim in it, and then, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Question is, which Charles River? Pre or post? Councilor Chandler.
Oh, through you, Mr. Chairman. First, thank you to David, Wolfgang, and Mark. I can see you guys are passionate about this stuff. That's great. Thank you for your volunteering. And as Councilor Jones said, I did learn a lot tonight. A lot of times we don't learn too much, but tonight we definitely did. Thank you. And lastly, if someone had a younger kid or anything, is it job growth in this now?
Absolutely. Yes.
So
tons.
it's definitely something.
Yeah. Yep. It's a field where we need more people coming in. There's a lot of different type of work. Yeah, spans from engineering to whatever you want to do, you know, lab work, there's operations, there's maintenance.
Looks definitely interesting.
Yeah,
Very
and it's,
interesting.
I mean, I love it.
I-
It's just fun.
I can
You
tell.
know, it's just great. Every day's different. You know, it's running right now all by itself. We're not staffed 24/7. We have a call-out system, so it's treating the water now, doing its thing. But we would, you know, we have a co-op program actually with Tri-County. So we have a couple students every year to just have, kind of get them familiar with it. And we love doing tours, and now with, you know, everything with COVID kind of opening up again, we really are encouraging that. We did.
All right, Ron wants to sleep on the floor, that's fine. Wiley, you come up.
We did a Boy Scout tour the other day, and we did some tours with the Medway High School, so that, you know, we were open for that, to expand the knowledge.
And thank you to our DPW guys. Thanks for coming in too. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Chandler. Councilor DeLarco,
Thank you.
switching it up.
Mr. Chairman. All right, thank you. Thanks for the presentation. It is amazing, we all learned a little bit, but just one little concern, and I know the pipe that goes under the Mine River to the old sewer beds is what we used to call it, right there?
It used to go there. It goes under, because the pipe now goes under 495. The old sewer beds are more to the right.
To the right, where the condos were, yeah.
Minebrook goes the other way.
So, but the pipe goes
But
under Minebrook?
The original Minebrook was what they transferred from the old sewer beds.
Right.
To go to the new plant in Medway back in the 70s.
Okay, but the pipe is still under Minebrook?
Yes.
Yeah, so we check that pipe in case anything, I mean.
And that's what we're gonna be working on.
And that's what you're gonna be
Yeah,
working on?
we've done
Okay.
very
I'm just
preliminary.
concerned about, you know. if
We
it
are
bursts.
too, absolutely.
Yeah,
That's why we
it
wanna
burst,
check.
you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are doing a great job. Yeah, environmental science, actually, my nephew is going to UNH to be an environmental scientist, so maybe he'll give you a call and do a tour.
Yes, absolutely, please.
But yeah, no, great job, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor DeLarco. Councilor Plagree.
Through the chair, I just want to thank you for coming. You have touched upon so much that it is well over my head, to
Oh,
be
yeah.
honest with you. But I would like to ask that perhaps we could get a tour with the council
Yeah.
Please.
to
I'd
come
love
in and
to.
see this. I have never seen all of the pictures like this,
Yeah.
and to see how involved this project is. So, I mean, it would be great for us to be able to come.
Absolutely,
And-
we'll schedule something.
And I can tell that you are very excited about this. Because the way that someone presents something is the way that they honestly feel about it. And I mean, you had all of the information right in the top of your head to be able to tell us things. So don't test us on this, though, because like I said, it was an awful lot to take in.
It's okay, yeah.
And we thank the commission, the Franklin Commission, and you gentlemen here.
Yeah.
Thank you all, and I look forward to the tour.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilor Plagree. I think you should probably take a plumber on that tour with you.
Good one, Chuck.
Retired one?
Councilor Cormier Ledger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the presentation. I think like everybody, we don't really understand what happens when we flush the toilet. So to be able to get this in depth and the fact that you captivated all of us is a huge feat. Nobody fell asleep, nobody went out the room. That's all really great stuff. I'm just curious about, like, if you were to look at similar size treatment plants to your own around the state, how are you doing comparatively?
Yeah, we're doing similarly on, budget-wise, it's a similar cost. Some places, we're very advanced treatment, with us being so upstream on the Charles River, we have a pretty stringent phosphorus limit, so we do use more chemicals, than some places do. But I feel like we're doing awesome.
But our output numbers,
Our
like,
output-
are good?
Yeah, it really depends on how things are. We do, I will say, sometimes we do have pretty high flows in rain events where we see 10, 12, 15 million gallons coming through. So there definitely is I-9. It's really hard to find, and we're all entities are working to try and, find it and work through that.
Other than and thank you for enlightening us about the flushable wipes, but is there any other sort of takeaways that you can share, especially with people listening, are there things they could be doing at home to help this even more? Or are we, kind of at a point where we're doing a pretty good job and there's nothing more we could?
Yeah,
I'm just curious.
I know Franklin in particular has done a lot of using low flow, fixtures in the houses and whatnot, which is great. And really to go on the wipes a little more, if I can, we say 3 P's go in the toilet. Pee, poop, and toilet paper, and that's it. Nothing else. And it's just what we say. I know that's hard because it seems like a trash can, but it's not a trash can. So that's one thing, and that really helps all the collection system, because when things clog up, it means that there's more overtime, that we have to spend more time for the town employees to go out and take care of that. It hurts the pumps and whatnot, so.
Definitely.
Yeah, I would just add too, obviously before Liz sees it at the district, we see it in our pump stations and in our collection system,
Do you?
which causes
Yeah.
blockages, causes extra maintenance that we gotta do on our pumps. So,
Significant.
can't say enough of, even though it says it's flushable, it is not.
That's probably the biggest thing I picked up tonight.
Yeah. And thank you to the gentleman that you brought with you for your service, and certainly thank you to the people, apparently quite a long time ago, that had the foresight to make the proper investments in this system. We're benefiting from that now, so, thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, if I may.
Sure.
Dave from Iowa, 13 Town Line Road, Chairman of the Charles River. Thank you for appointing me. Happy to serve. But one of the thoughts that I thought when you asked your question that people can do is if you look at 2018 on that chart, you'll see that the numbers are significantly higher across the board for flow from every other year, not just the Franklin number, but everybody's numbers. And then if you look on the last column at rainfall, that 65 inches. So some pumps, connections like that really do have a major impact on the sewer system in town. But ultimately at the treatment facility, 2018 was actually a trigger year for the state with our permit because the flows were so high. So it is important for people to understand that if, for example, you have a sump pump, you really need to work with the town to try and get that into the drainage system instead of into the sewer leaving your house, because that really does have a major impact on the town's costs, our costs. Town's currently spending millions of dollars on II removal. We are working on our collection system for II removal. But those are the types of things that can make a big difference, because we're catching it at that source point as opposed to trying to take it out in the collection system once it's already in there. So that'd be something I would recommend that people think about as something that may have a little impact on their lives, but a major impact on our operation.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
You all set?
Yes, thank you.
Just a couple of quick things. First of all, thank you, as everyone has said, for coming in and giving us, we've learned more about wastewater probably tonight than we ever cared to know.
Yeah, it
But,
wasn't a waste of time. They knew it was coming.
They knew something was coming. But I think a piece that Commissioner Bauer spoke about and Councilor Cormier-Ledger just spoke about, I think is hugely important to know the foresight that our community had in the 70s to buy that capacity and get that capacity at that time.
In Medway.
In a different town. I just, we should all be thanking them immensely
I'm getting a call on that one tomorrow.
buying that, for buying that capacity at the time and having that available. And to Commissioner Bauer's point where he said that it will probably take care of us through build-out. And I think it probably will. The one question I have, and you may or may not have answered it, is let's say a community reaches 99 or 100%.
Right.
Right. I see the 96 and 94.
Right.
What happens?
Right, yep, so we would, definitely check in with them, see what happened, look at those flows. Do we have some climate change issues and there's a lot of rainfall and we need to work harder on I&I? but we would be looking at those future sewer connections and developments and
So
having.
basically, they would
Yeah.
have to stop allowing connections.
Yeah.
Am I correct in that assumption?
Yeah.
Okay. Jamie, I'd be disappointed.
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, a quick thing, I'm setting up a tour in July. I haven't been over there in 7 years since I first got here. With the new deputy coming on, I am going to schedule a tour, so when we get that date, maybe, everybody could go
Great.
over, we could send that over in July. Second, obviously, I don't need to say this, but you've all seen it, but I have to. Liz and Kristen and the entire staff are absolutely unbelievable. I've often argued with the commissioners and said, if you can hire her for a lifetime contract, just do it. Because really, you can see the passion she has, but we get to work with her on a weekly, daily basis, those folks, and they just do just an amazing job over there. And Mr. Chairman, you pointed it out. I did want to point the percent capacity that was glossed over a little bit here on this bottom chart, right? And that's really the worry zone. And to Commissioner Bauer's point, if you look over here at the 74%, Franklin's in a good position. I want to make sure everybody really understands that over time, DEP doesn't just give you another 1 million gallons when you need it, okay? And so the value of this in the long run is in Franklin's favor in a significant way. And to Councilor Frangilla's point, I think earlier about development and stuff, those numbers down there are really important because of what Liz said earlier about just climate change, water levels, rainfalls, all these other different factors. It's an incredible position. The folks in the 70s in this town had a lot of vision for a heck of a lot of things. The town charter, you could go down the list of all of the foresight that folks had in that point. And I just want to give the council, it feels a little self-congratulating, but it is really important. The council, this council, previous councils, Jeff before me, myself, the DPW, everybody, has never shied away from investing in the infrastructure of the community. And I know we're transitioning, and I did this on purpose, that the Charles River folks were here tonight on the night that we have finally got the Beaver Street Interceptor ready to go. And I know the legislation for action in a few moments. Doug's going to go through a few slides. But this all does come together. And there was a point as to why we did all this together, because I know there'll be a lot of questions about the Interceptor and how it relates to the district and whatnot, how it relates to folks in Franklin. But again, showing the commitment of the foresight now and into the future is an incredible thing for this group. So I know there's a few more slides. I think Liz and Doug, you have, and maybe try to tie it into the decisions of today and how all of us in this room are looking out into the future.
Go ahead, Doug, take it away.
Thanks, Jamie. Thanks, Liz. That was great. Just wanted to kind of bring you up to speed on the Beaver Street Interceptor. I think we all know what's entailed with the project. Obviously, it was built in 1914. Through the council, you appropriated borrowing of $33 million. We did get bids in for the project. It came in under the engineer's estimate of almost 29 million. Came in at 28 million, so about $1 million under, which is good. And then obviously within that 33 million, we have police flaggers for the MBTA and all those crossings. We have contingency money and then engineering services during construction. So that project, we're waiting on some DOT permits. Once we get those, you should see it get started probably middle of the summer, I would assume. Just quickly, I wanted to go over just some issues. Obviously, Liz touched on I&I, as well as the commissioners for the district.
Inflow and infiltration. Yes. I had to look that up.
Inflow and infiltration. Infiltration is the groundwater. Inflow is those illegal connections, sump pumps, and stuff like that. So the council in recent years, since 2017, we did an evaluation of the downtown area specifically, and have targeted a lot of I&I issues there with lining of the pipes and manholes in that district. We've spent $500,000 in 2022. We're going to spend another $500,000 this year to finish up phase 7 of those recommendations. You also appropriated through capital another $200,000 for us to do another study for an area off of Pond Street. So we're started to look at that, and we're gonna target that area from the study for I&I removal as well. Also too, I wanted to highlight that we have 23 lift stations in town, soon to be 24 after the Beaver Street lift station goes on. A lot of those lift stations were constructed in the 80s, 70s, and 80s. So they're becoming of age and are gonna need improvements. To that point, we've been working really hard on getting grants. So we have a $250,000 asset management grant where we're gonna look at the capacity of each station, look at the condition of it, and kind of get a plan going forward for improvements that we can make over time. As well as, it's not on here, but we recently got a $102,000 grant for GAP 3 energy improvements from DEP. So I'd like to thank Jake for spearheading that. But that will help a couple of our stations with energy improvements, new upgraded motors, pumps, VFDs, and stuff like that. Looking ahead, obviously we're going to look at the sewer rate increase coming up. But with that, we're going to look at a limited surplus going forward. So how can we fill those gaps? Well, we're going to fill those gaps with the grant fundings that we're getting, with the ARPA funds that will help backfill that need. And like we talked about, I&I is definitely a good investment, as well as the Beaver Street Interceptor for multiple reasons. The I&I specifically reduces our flow that goes to Charles River, which reduces what we need to pay them, essentially. So it's definitely a really good investment, and kudos to the council for recognizing that. And then obviously, Liz had touched on the 495 pump station unknowns with PFAS, and a couple other things, chemical costs. Those are unknowns, but likely increased costs from the district that will come down to Franklin and the other communities.
There you go.
Any questions specific on the Beaver Street?
Councilor Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one curious question. Like, for instance, I call up electrical wholesalers and say, hey, I need a 400 amp meter socket. What's the lead time? 52 weeks.
Yeah.
And on many of the bus and electrical equipment, they were trying to get 96 weeks.
Yeah.
Have you noticed some of these problems as far as material is concerned in regards to meeting this project's needs? Because not only is there such a tremendous lead time on material, costs of material have also skyrocketed. How's that going to impact the overall cost of this project?
So obviously, I think we know the cost now. Obviously, there's going to be some change orders are expected. But the bid is the bid. They hold that. So they're projecting forward. It's a 3-year project. So we've given them ample of time to procure these, and really it's the electrical stuff. It's the generator, it's the switches, the VFDs. Those are the 52 plus more than 18 months lead times. So there's things that they'll do, obviously, to get going. They'll get the building structure up. A lot of that's pretty straightforward. Lead time there. The lining work they'll be able to do. So there's a lot on the project that they'll be able to move forward on while they're waiting for these supplies coming in. So.
Fair enough. The Beaver Street Interceptor, and I know we've had this discussion so many times, and I know that council's well aware of it, but I just want to kind of remind the community of the importance of replacing this interceptor, besides the fact that it's 100 years old, is that it carries from, if I recall correctly, 90% of our outflow.
70% of our sewer flow is
70%.
carried by the Beaver Street Interceptor. I should have brought up too, it passes through Charles River or Minebrook on one side. You got the train tracks, 495, some very,
precarious places to be. Yeah, it certainly is. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, sure.
Councilor Frangillo.
Yeah, just quickly clarifying, you touched upon it, and I apologize if I missed it earlier. How do we pay for the Charles River Pollution Control District. Is it purely by like per gallon flow, or is there some other way of calculating that?
Yeah, so we have a calculation, so there's two pieces. There's a capital piece and an O&M piece, operation and maintenance. So the capital piece is very easy. That is just what is owned percent-wise. So that's the 63.9% that Franklin owns in the treatment plant. Then there's the operations and maintenance piece. That is based off of flow that's sent, also on what's the strength of the wastewater. So that's solids, organics, phosphorus, and ammonia. And we measure that in the system for all 4 towns monthly, and then come up with a percentage. It's a weighted percentage that we do, and that gives our O&M. So if there's less flow coming in from a town, then they will pay less on that O&M percentage.
Okay. And she touched on the quality of the wastewater, specifically for Grelick Farms, where they have the pretreatment. We look at specific numbers there, and they're charged extra if those numbers go over. There's a calculation with them.
Yep, so we'll sample Grelick Farms twice a month, and we send that data quarterly to Franklin for that surcharge.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Frondillo. Any other questions? Doug, do you have another slide, or you all? Okay, so obviously, once again, thank you all for that enlightening presentation. We'll go to legislation for action and do bylaw amendment 23-897, sewer rate increase, first reading. Clerk will read the bylaw amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is bylaw amendment 23-897, sewer usage rates, be it enacted by the Franklin Town Council that Chapter 82 of the Code of Town of Franklin entitled Fees, Municipal Service is hereby amended at Appendix A as follows. Appendix A lists the sewer service usage rates effective for bills issued on or after July 1st, 2023. Sewer usage rate shall be as follows. Now, CCF, that is cubic, what per foot? CCF, I guess?
100 cubic
feet.
100 cubic feet. So from 0 to 15, for sewer usage, the rate, which was originally on 7/1/22, 605, on 7/1/23 will increase to 7/22, on 7/1/2024 will increase to $8.31, and on 7/1/2025 to go to $9.42 for sewer usage. For 16 to 40, it's going to go from 645 to 769 on 7/1/23. It's going to go to 885 on 7/1/24, and it's going to go to 1003 on 7/1/2025. 41 plus, it's going to go from 740 to 883 on 7/1/23, and to 1017 on 7/1/24, and to 1152 on 7/1/25. For quarterly sewage only, it's going to go from $183, $218 on 7/1/23, $260 on 7/1/24, and $310 on 7/1/25. This bylaw amendment shall become effective according to the provisions of the Franklin Home Rule Charter.
Move bylaw amendment 23-897 to a second reading.
Second.
Motion and second discussion. Jamie?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I think it's pretty straightforward. We just went through the whole presentation, and this will allow us to essentially pay for the Beaver Street interceptor project. I think it's about 5 years, if I recall, Doug, 5-year-long project, full construction?
No, full construction would be 3 years.
Oh, 3 years,
3 years.
excuse me.
Yeah.
So that's good. So
Initially, we'll have 0% construction loan,
Yeah.
so to speak. And then once we reach 50% of that
Right.
loan given out, then we'll start paying.
Okay, questions from the council? Councilor Cormier Ledger?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It is, not really sure where to direct the question, so I'll just say it. Is the goal after the large project for these rates to then go back down to something more manageable? Because obviously a 25% rate increase is pretty significant for a lot of families, but if the explanation is it's temporary for a large 100-year-old interceptor project, you know, it might be a little bit easier for folks to swallow if they know it's going to come back down to normal in a few years.
Jamie, you want to take a shot at it?
It's a 20-year payment schedule, so they'll be needed for at least 20 years to be able to pay that off. So I think, you know, it's kind of like debt exclusions to some extent.
Yeah.
You know, it stays there, and you'd almost, I hate to say it, but you don't see it come off. But as we go through the budget this year, actually, we're going to talk about debt exclusion sunsetting.
Right.
And there's always something else. Obviously, you hear from an infrastructure capital perspective, there's always going to be something else to kind of fill that void.
So basically, the message to users is it's not going to come back down anytime soon. It's
No.
just they just have to
Right.
absorb this into their family budget because it's a critical need.
Yep. Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Cormier Ledger. Any other councilors? Councilor DeLorco.
Thank you. Yeah, I have to agree with Council Cormier Ledger. It's a critical need. The road work going up Beaver Street, how long, I'm getting a lot of phone calls. They want to know how long that's going to be, but you wouldn't have any idea, right?
No, we don't have a contractor scheduled yet, but once we do, we'll make sure that
We'll post it.
we get out to the public. We're going to be working on some branding and some social media messaging
Okay.
to the public, specifically related to the work that's going to happen at 140.
Yeah, that's what
with the
that's what I'm
businesses.
getting
So,
mostly.
yeah, you'll
also.
see some communications come out from us.
Okay, that's good. And just on a point, my sister-in-law lives in Plymouth, and their Interceptor Blue, and the amount of money they pay is outrageous, So I know it's a hit, but it's a smaller hit than it would be if anything happened to the
It's a
Interceptor.
better alternative, for sure.
It would be a lot more if it went into the Charles River, and so I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you, Councilor DeLorco. Councilor Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one last thing that came to mind. With the construction of the new pipe, what happens to the Interceptor? Is that decommissioned, or is that actually continuous? Can we continue to use that in helping with our flows, or is that ultimately decommissioned?
No, majority of it actually is going to stay in place
Mhm.
and just be rehabbed or replaced in place. The portion from Beaver Street to 495
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
the
It's
Franklin
gonna
Village
be
Mall will be abandoned in place.
Okay. The one that's
So
under
the
the mall.
manholes there will, be removed a couple feet below grade, and the whole thing will be filled in.
Good.
So it's not a liability for us in the future.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Jones. Any other questions from the council? Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to move bylaw amendment 23-897 to a second reading. Majority votes required. A majority votes required. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Liz.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
You're staying, right?
I'm staying. Yeah.
That was fun.
Looking forward to seeing you all in July.
Yeah, oh, okay.
Yay.
Thanks, Liz.
Liz is a really good tour guide. So
Yeah. You can tell because, you can tell with the passion, for sure. Okay. All right, we're moving on to the next presentation, which is an introduction to PFAS regulations. And unfortunately, the DPW director is unable to attend this evening. But we have a first place. Doug Martin. It's all yours, Sewer Superintendent. No, we're skipping Jamie, going right to you.
So we wanted to come before you and just give you an update on PFAS. I know I've talked about it before in front of you. I think by now everyone knows it, but through Jamie, we put together a...
Knows it, question about whether we understand it.
Yes.
You will when the bill comes.
Yeah, true.
So just real quick, per and polyfluorinated substances, PFAS, been around for decades, commonly known as Teflon. What else? Firefighting foams was a big use. We stored a lot on Air Force bases, because that's what they would use to put out, fires and whatnot in training areas. So like every other community, especially in this part of the state, Franklin is not alone. We're dealing with it with everyone else. Recently, I just want to point out too that it's still being made, PFAS. It's not like it's
Disappeared.
Disappeared. So Jake has a really good analogy of the faucet has not stopped. We're trying to plug the drain, but the faucet's still coming, right? I think everyone knows that in 2020 we had well 7 had a elevated level. So let me step back. That the state of Massachusetts has made a regulation for 20 parts per trillion. So typically we are measuring substances in water in parts per million or parts per billion. Now this is 20 parts per trillion. So put that in perspective, it's 1 drop of water in an Olympic-sized swimming pool. Some other analogies are a postage stamp on the state of Texas. So kind of put your head in that game, right? It's really minute, really small, even to the fact that our operators, when they go to conduct these samples, they're going to make sure that they're not cooking with a Teflon pan in the morning. They have no clothing on that's got waterproofing on it. They're going to be careful of the gloves that they're wearing. So like I said, it is still being produced. It is still on the products and consumables that we use daily. So let me step back to regulation. Massachusetts adopted a 20 parts per trillion of 6 of the PFAS compounds. There's hundreds of them, but the 6 that are most prevalent, Massachusetts has said that the sum of those 6 can't be over 20. If it is, then you're in violation. Well 7 went into violation. The minute we found out about that result, we shut it off, and we had to send the notice out to the residents. It's been off ever since, and we've been working on, we did an evaluation to see what can we do with it, and now, thanks to the council, we're in the pilot and design phase of that project. We did get on the final IUP or intended use plan for the state revolving funds. So in a couple weeks, I think you'll see an borrowing authorization in front of you to look at that project. The good thing about right now is that through the bipartisan infrastructure bill, they're giving out 0% loans for PFAS-related projects, and then there's a whole separate pot of money for loan forgiveness. So it is, now's the time to kind of take charge of it. Also, too, down the road, pretty soon, is the EPA has issued a draft regulation for their version. So they're going after 2 of the PFAS compounds, PFOA and PFOS, the 2 most prevalent, and they're saying that it can't be over 4 parts per trillion. So put that in comparison, 20 parts per trillion for the sum of 6. Now the EPA is going to say we can't be over 4 for just 2 of those, and then there's a couple other that have this hazard index that they've done in some other instances for other regulations. So what that means for Franklin, that means that Grove Street, that means, which is well 3 and 6, that means that well 5, well 4, well 8, and well 9 would all be in danger of being in violation. Yeah. So that's something to look out for. I put in here if that did go through, and we do become in violation, we're looking at upwards of 40 million, 50 million.
kind of time frame?
So, it's going through the draft process now. I believe comments are due within the next 60 days. There's a lot of groups that are trying to push that off. So hopefully
Can
there's.
we be one of them?
I asked the question.
Yeah. So.
Honestly. I said, why not sue?
Yeah.
We did with the stormwater.
Stormwater.
Like,
Yeah.
the water rates are gonna go up higher than what you just did for the sewer.
This is nuts.
So
Well,
unlike.
It's still being made.
And it's still being made, so you
Yeah,
can't actually
it's
get
still
rid of
being
it.
made.
We can't get rid of it.
So unlike what Franklin did with stormwater, that was a permit enacted
Right.
just on the town of Franklin, so we were able to sue those conditions. This is a regulation happening nationwide, so I don't think we'd be able to sue, unfortunately, but we are gonna make our voice known through letters and all other channels that we can, and as well as every other community in the state and the country making known, so.
Need to yell loud and clear at our legislators.
Yep.
So, and assuming that it all goes through, you know, these things take time. They're gonna give you 3 or 4 years to get up to speed. But, it's gonna happen quickly.
$40 million over 3 or 4 years, that,
That's not enough. Yeah. And that's on top of, and I put in the memo, all the other infrastructure projects that we were planning to do. But one, and the biggest one, is the Fisher Street treatment plant upgrade. You know, that needs to happen. We got 2, maybe 3 more years left with the filters that we have. So that's a very important project on top of the Hillside Tank replacement, Pleasant Street Tank rehab replacement, Forge Hill Tank, Bald Hill Tank. So a lot of infrastructure projects before us, and we're gonna have to make some tough decisions.
thanks for all the good news.
You know,
Now I know why Brutus isn't here.
I'm just glad you didn't let me talk. I didn't have to deliver it.
Yeah, exactly. Questions or comments from the council? Councilor Sheridan.
So how does it get into the water? So somebody does the dishes and it goes into a septic tank, or?
Yeah, so PFAS is one of those things that is, once it's in the water cycle, it stays in the water cycle.
Okay, so
So actually.
from rain too?
Rain.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, we're burning things that have PFAS in it, it vaporizes, the rain brings it back down. I think everyone knows the water cycle, it's
Yeah.
a perpetual thing. So even, I think it's easy to go after the drinking water because we have the, you know, Safe Drinking Water Act, we have the Clean Water Act, 2 pieces of legislation that are already in place that they're able to kind of put these regulations into. So the drinking water industry is taking the brunt of it. But all we're doing is filtering it out, right? We're gonna trap it in this media, and that media's gotta go somewhere.
Right.
And as Liz talked,
Yeah.
we might get to a point where we don't know where it's gonna go. Right, and then once it goes somewhere, it's just gonna get back.
Back in.
So it gets back to the point of we need to stop the tap.
Yes.
We need to stop the flow.
Understood.
So, I know Jamie has talked, I mean, for the residents, it'd be very, very advantageous if you talk to your legislation.
Congress.
Congress.
Jake Auchincloss.
Yeah.
And let them know that, I mean, this is a real issue for the town of Franklin, it's a real issue for the state of Massachusetts, nationwide, but until that faucet is stopped, all we're doing is putting a Band-Aid on it. At our expense.
Understood. Jamie, we shouldn't waste any time here getting to our congressman, getting letters off or whatever. Maybe he'll come.
Yeah, I mean,
Again.
I appreciate that actually, because it is scary.
It's scary.
And it's.
With everything else that we're looking at, and to
This is like
hear
here.
there's
It ain't going anywhere, and obviously Teflon pans, I cook eggs every day, and, you know, I'm eating PFAS every day. 98% of Americans have PFAS in their body right now. Everyone in this room does. Makeup, whether, like coats, clothes, I mean, it's on us, it's in us, we've been eating it, licking it, drinking it, and it's just very weird to try to clean something up that we haven't even come close to getting rid of. And now we're gonna hit ratepayers with a bill that's bigger than the Beaver Street Interceptor, like this decade, not too far away. And I will give Doug, as a bit of good news, really quickly, I do want to give the DPW, there's one piece of legislation coming up on a study that's a grant basically that you have to approve just for DEP. But I will give them a lot of credit. Despite my complaining about this and the concerns, they have completely stayed ahead of this. And so I will say that, like, if there's any community that can weather some of this impact, they've done a phenomenal job staying ahead of it. And I think if we do stay ahead of it as a community, I mean, I think the cost we know won't be as bad. As bad as 40 or 50, 60 million could be.
I mean.
So thank you, I appreciate that. And I will bring a letter and,
Please.
and we can take Doug's memo, and I think Doug's gonna write it. And
I think
if
he
you wanna
should.
send it from the council or myself, it's
Well,
up
I
to you.
think, I
It's up
think
to
it
you
should
guys.
come from both.
Okay.
You
We've done
know,
those before.
I think we all need to sign it, and I think it,
And our citizens.
Yeah. Okay, questions from the council?
Thanks, Doug.
Councilor Hamblin?
I just wanted to add to the good news.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you, Doug, for this presentation, or to give us the facts. That's all you're doing, is giving us the facts. But also, it goes in our food, right? So if we have microplastics in the ground where the PFAS is watered onto the plants, it gets into the plants faster. But there's been studies done. It's not just in the United States, though. It's all around the world.
Yeah.
We're all dealing with this. We got to turn off the faucet.
To that
It's
point,
insane.
To that point, I'm pretty sure Deer Island, with their anaerobic digestion, they're making fertilizer.
Yeah.
And that fertilizer is getting land applied, which has PFAS in it.
Right.
And it's going into our food.
Yeah, so that's one of the things, like some of the fertilizers that I actually don't sell anymore because it has PFAS in it. And it's like we gotta stop. We just gotta stop. But anyways, I
get
will
it.
stop.
Thank you, Councilor Hamblin. Any other councilors? Doug, I'm sorry, did you?
Just a quick, I know we're talking about PFAS, and what does it cause though? Just so.
Cancer.
I know it does, just so people know that it causes cancer. So that's what, I mean, just so people know, because we're talking about it and people might be out there going, what's it cause?
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
It's carcinogen.
And I'll also point out too, it's a lifetime,
Of inhaling.
it's a forever chemical, right? But it's also a lifetime, like the harm is a lifetime exposure.
Right.
And it's not like something that's gonna harm you over, a couple days, right?
Right.
It's a lifetime of the
Yeah, it's like
elevated
asbestos.
exposure. Yeah.
Doug, Jay, thank you very much. Tell Brutus we didn't miss him at. Please do. You can tell him it's direct from the chair, please.
Just wait.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll now move on to Resolution 23-30, authorizing the borrowing of money to pay costs associated with the Franklin Sewer System Assessment Management Plan. Clerk will read the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Resolution 23-30, authorizing the borrowing of money to pay costs associated with the Franklin Sewer System Asset Management Plan, CWSRF 1254-1. Whereas the Town Council has been advised of a need to create Franklin Sewer System Asset Management Plan, now therefore be it ordered that by the Town Council of the Town of Franklin that one, $250,000 is appropriated to pay costs associated with the creation of Franklin Sewer System Asset Management Plan, hereinafter known as the project, and that to meet this appropriation, the treasurer, with the approval of the town administrator, is authorized to borrow this amount under pursuant General Law, Chapter 44, subsection 77, or any other enabling authority, and to issue bonds or notes of the town therefore. The amount authorized to be borrowed pursuant to this resolution should become reduced to the extent of any grants, gifts, or other contributions, including in-kind contributions, received by the town on any account of the project. 2, all or any portion of the amount authorized to be borrowed by this resolution may be borrowed through Massachusetts Clean Water Trust, which is known as the trust, established there pursuant to General Law, Chapter 29C. The purpose of the said loans, if awarded, shall be to fund costs of the projects, and if said award is made, town agrees to pay those costs which constitutes the required applicant's share of the project's cost. The town administrator, the town treasurer, and any other appropriate officials of the town agreements is hereby authorized on behalf of the town to file applications and execute agreements for grant and/or loan assistance, as well as furnish such information, data, and documents pertaining to the town's application for grants and/or loans, delivery of any agreements with the trust and the Department of Environmental Protection of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts that may be necessary in order to obtain any such financing and otherwise to act as authorized representatives of the town in connection with the application. 3, this resolution should become effective according to the provisions of the Town of Franklin Home Rule Charter.
Move resolution 23-30.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Jamie?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the next two pieces of legislation are two different pieces that are required by the state for us to file for that grant that we just talked about a minute ago. So unless anybody has any questions, the next two roll calls, you can just move forward with them. It's just for the $250,000.
They're not roll calls.
Or not, I'm sorry, the next
Yeah,
two votes. I'm sorry.
two-thirds.
The next two votes, yeah.
Okay, any questions from the council? Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to approve Resolution 23-30, a two-thirds majority votes required. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Resolution 23-31, authority for town administrator to file clean water state revolving fund loan application. Clerk will read the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Resolution 23-31, authority for the town administrator to file clean water state revolving fund loan application. Whereas the town of Franklin, here known as the town, after their thorough investigation and determined that the work activity consisting of the Franklin Sewer System Asset Management Plan, or the CWSRF 12541, hereinafter known as the project, is both in the public interest and necessary to protect the public health, and that to undertake this activity is necessary to apply for assistance, and whereas the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection, Mass DEP, and the Massachusetts Clean Water Trust, the Trust of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, pursuant to Chapter 21, Chapter 29C of General Laws of Commonwealth, Chapter 21 and Chapter 29C, are authorized to make loans to municipalities for the purposes of funding, planning, construction activities relative to the water pollution abatement projects. And whereas the town was examined by the provisions of the Act, Chapter 21 and Chapter 29C, and believes it to be in the public interest to file a loan application. And whereas the town, acting by and through the Franklin Town Council by Resolution 23-30, has authorized borrowing for the project of $250,000. Now therefore be it resolved that the Franklin Town Council, acting on behalf of the town of Franklin as follows. 1, that the town administrator is hereby authorized on behalf of the town to file applications and execute agreements for grant or loan assistance, as well as furnish such information, data, and documents pertaining to the town's application for grants and/or loans as may be required, and otherwise to act as authorized representative of the town in connection with this application. 2, that the purpose of the said loan, if awarded, shall be to fund construction activities in connection with the Franklin Sewer System Asset Management Plan, CWSRF 12541. If said award is made, the town agrees to pay those costs which constitutes the required applicant's share of the project cost. This resolution should become effective according to the provisions of the Town of Franklin Home Rule Charter.
Move resolution 23-31.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Jamie, all set? Councilors? Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to approve Resolution 23-31. Again, a two-thirds majority votes required. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Zoning bylaw amendment 23-889, a zoning bylaw to amend the Franklin Town Code at Chapter 185, Attachment 7, Part 6, Use Regulation Schedule, Residential Uses, second reading. Clerk will read the amendment, bylaw amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is zoning bylaw amendment 23-889, formerly known as 22-889, a zoning bylaw amendment to Franklin Town Code.
Motion to waive the reading.
Second.
Motion second to waive the reading. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Move bylaw amendment 23-889.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion. Jamie, quick summary?
I think we all know, just
Yeah.
items D and E are both the final two votes required for the town of Franklin to finally have an inclusionary zoning bylaw. The only comment I wanted to say, if Jeff Nutting out there is watching, Jeff, we're on the goal line and almost there. It's really a great feeling, and really thank you to all the counselors and the planning board
And the
for this
EDC.
incredible thing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just one little thing.
Councilor Hamblin, absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to thank everyone that was involved in the Franklin for All project, everybody that came out for that, that participated, the Economic Development Subcommittee, Greg Rondo and Beth Wehrling on the Planning Board, and Bruce Hunchard of the Zoning Board of Appeals, the town staff. I think everybody heard my speech last time when we read this the first time, but it's incredible to work with a group of people like this as a team and to get this done. And it's really a great thing. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to thank everyone.
Absolutely, and obviously, I want to thank you and the EDC committee, because that's where it started. And, well, it started with the administration, with the planning, and Brian and everyone else in the planning department, but then through the EDC, who spent an awful lot of time on this project. But they've brought it to the finish line.
It's awesome.
Thank you so much for that. Any other questions or comments from the council? Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to approve bylaw amendment 23-889. Majority roll call votes required. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Roll call.
Oh, roll call, sorry. We have to listen to Glenn again. Glenn,
As you can see, I'm well prepared to take those votes, sir.
there's a first for
Waiting
everything.
for your cue.
Go for it.
Thank you. You still owe me a coffee.
Yeah.
Sheridan. Cormier Ledger.
Yes.
Frangillo.
Yes.
Chandler.
Yes.
Hamblin.
Yes.
Pellegrini.
Yes.
Jones, yes. Vice Chair.
Yes.
Chair.
Absolutely, yes.
9-0, sir.
Motion carries. Great job, everyone. Zoning bylaw amendment 23-890, a zoning bylaw to amend the Franklin Town Code at Chapter 185, Section 51, second reading. Clerk will read the bylaw amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is bylaw amendment 23-890, a zoning bylaw amendment, inclusionary zoning, a zoning bylaw to amend the Franklin Town Code at Chapter 185, Section 51. Be enacted by
Motion
the
to waive
Franklin
the
Town
reading.
Council.
Second.
Motion and second to waive the reading. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Move zoning bylaw amendment 23-890.
Second.
Motion and second. Jamie, you're all set?
I'm just ready to.
Counselors?
Go.
Let's go. Okay. The vote will come on the motion to approve bylaw amendment 23-890, majority roll call vote. Our famous clerk will read the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Cormier Ledger.
Yes.
Sheridan.
Yes.
Chandler.
Yes.
Frangillo.
Yes.
Pellegrini.
Yes.
Hamblin.
Yes.
Jones, yes. Vice Chair.
Yes.
Chair.
Yes.
9-0, sir.
Motion carries. Yahoo. Great job. Okay. Moving on, Resolution 23-32, gift acceptance, Town of Franklin for Red Brick Schoolhouse, donation of, quotations, established sign. Clerk will read the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Resolution 23-32, acceptance of gift, Town of Franklin Red Brick Schoolhouse donation of established sign. Whereas the Town of Franklin has received a generous donation of a carved PVC sign to be installed at the Red Brick School. Donation, Town of Franklin. One carved PVC sign to be installed at the Red Brick Schoolhouse located 2 Lincoln Street, Franklin. The sign was donated by Mr. Cam Afonso, owner of Signs by Cam Incorporated. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Council of the Town of Franklin gratefully accepts this generous donation of one carved PVC sign to be installed at the Red Brick School. This resolution to become effective according to the provisions of the Town of Franklin Home Rule Charter.
Move resolution 23-32.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Council?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Again,
Yeah,
just
thank
thank
you.
yous to
Thanks,
Cam
Cam.
for
Thank
stepping
you.
forward.
Lovely that he did that.
Okay, the vote will come on the motion to approve Resolution 23-32. Majority votes required. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Resolution 23-29, FY23 Capital Round 2. Clerk will read the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Resolution 2329, Appropriation Capital Fiscal Year 23, Round 2. Total amount requested, $711,782. The purpose is to appropriate funds for the 2023 Capital Improvement Plan Round 2. Source, free cash. Design, maintenance, and construction of public roads, sidewalks, and public lots for the DPW, $581,782. Marketing and branding administration, $50,000. Sped van, school department, $77,000. Fleece vests and identification gear for election wardens and double-sided magnetic sign displays for the town clerk, $3,000, for a total of $711,782. Motion be it moved and voted by the town council that the sum of $711,782 be appropriated from free cash to be expended at the discretion of the town administrator for fiscal year 2023 capital improvement plan round number 2, as outlined above, including any residual funds remaining in these line items. This resolution to become effective according to the provisions of the town of Franklin Home Rule Charter.
Move resolution 23-29.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Jamie,
I think the memo pretty much
just so
speaks
people
for itself.
understand what
Sure.
Capital Round 2 is.
Sure. So for the folks at home, Capital Round 2 is the money that up until next year, provided that the budget goes through, as you hopefully have all read the budget narrative, really, truthfully, the $750,000 we typically hold. Fortunately, this year it didn't snow, and we didn't have to dip into it, which leaves a little bit excess funds to go towards some projects. And all of the projects on here were supported by the capital committee. I'm sure Councilor Pellegrini, who chairs the committee, will speak to it. But we had all the relative department heads and folks relative to each of these projects come in. They were all unanimous. And I don't think we're gonna get 9 inches of snow again, whatever it was, next year. But, you know, at least for right now, we can at least make some community improvements. And obviously, the special ed van for the school district was a big priority. And the marketing and branding they talked about, and of course, roads. So, if any questions, let me know.
Thank you, Jamie. Councilor Pellegrini.
No, I think Jamie went over the whole thing very well. It was unanimous at our subcommittee meeting to go along with each and every one of these for a total of $711,782.
Thank you, Councilor Pellegrini. Any other questions or comments from the council? Councilor Cormier Ledger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to point out for everybody listening, it was a pleasure to serve on that subcommittee, but folks need to understand the marketing allocation for $50,000. Some people have questioned that with me after our meeting. That is a very modest investment for us to make as a town to match some funds that we're getting from the state to really show our commitment. It's going to go really to help with branding. It helps with, you know, moving forward with all sorts of different plans. The school department was in favor of it. People just have to understand $50,000 for a community our size to help really has an economic impact, because that's going to help our businesses, it's going to help tourism, it's going to help the various projects that we have going on in town. So I hope that folks will stop the rhetoric of there's something better we can do with the 50 grand. I think a lot of us looked at it, we heard from everybody, and it's a very smart decision to invest that in the future for the town.
Thank you, Councilor Cormier-Ledger. Any other, Councilor Frangillo?
Yeah, I would just echo that. Of all the things, I don't know. I think they're all good expenditures. I love that we take as many opportunities as we can to maintain and sort of catch up on our road maintenance backlog. But small opportunities to invest in something that's going to have a high return on investment to the town is always things that I'm looking for. And I'm confident that having a clear sense of who we are and way to brand ourselves to external stakeholders as well as to internal people is going to have a really high return on investment in terms of property values here in Franklin, in terms of attracting tourism and patrons to our businesses here in town.
Great. Thank you, Councilor Frangillo. Councilor Hamlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to echo Councilor Frangillo's statement and Councilor Cormier-Ledger's as well. And I want to thank the Capital Budget Subcommittee for seeing the importance of this. Like, this is really important for us, for new growth, for our tourism. I mean, it's going to do a lot of positive things like waste, fine signs, and all that stuff. This is just the beginning. It's really important. I want to thank everyone on that subcommittee.
Thank you, Councilor Hamlin. Any other questions? Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to approve Resolution 23-29. Again, a majority vote's required. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Town Administrator's report.
I know everybody's heard me say it 100 times. Next week, the Finance Committee hearings begin on Monday, May 8th, then Wednesday, May 10th, and Thursday, May 11th. On Monday, on the 8th, is all of government and the DPW. On Wednesday, May 10th, are the superintendent of Norfolk Aggie, the superintendent of Tri-County, and obviously our own superintendent of public schools. That will be the public school night. And then public safety and regional dispatch goes and closes thing out on May 10th. Go to franklinma.gov, town budget, it's all there. I know it's long, you can keyword search it. For all those that are saying we need to know more about the budget, all the materials are there, there's archives, I know there's sleeping aids, but if people are really interested in these dynamics of where the money's going and where the spending's going, and we're concerned about this dollar versus that dollar, those documents really need to be looked at and take a look through. And I want to close out, Mr. Chairman, really quickly and just thank and congratulate our paramedic, Becky Carloni. Becky, last night, I did take the trip out to Auburn just to get out of the office at a minimum. But what not a better thing to go out and see Becky win Paramedic of the Year for Central Massachusetts. Really cool. Her parents were there, her grandmother was there. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. And to hear the stories of the 10 recipients, of what they did to earn those awards, I mean, just unbelievable, very chilling, and I just want to thank and congratulate the whole Franklin Fire Department. This is our second Paramedic of the Year in the last, I was corrected, the last 3 years. I said 4, but Lieutenant Lori Kay, who many people remember, Lori Roy, won it 3 years ago too. So I think it shows the strength of our team and the character of everybody down there. I just want to congratulate her. It was a great night. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jamie. Okay, subcommittee reports. Capital,
No, we didn't.
we just did it. So, EDC.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, we met, the EDC met tonight before the town council, before the whole town council meeting. We discussed our goals for the next 6 months before the end of this term. And I think we have a really good path forward to clean up some of the stuff that we still have left over from a little bit from the Franklin for All project, but other things that we haven't really got to yet. So we hope to have all the goals crossed off.
Excellent.
Why
We
not
like
reach for the
that.
moon,
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely,
Thank you, Mr.
absolutely.
Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Hamblin. Budget Committee, the subcommittee did not meet. Gatra, anything?
No, Gatra, did have an arts and culture, I didn't know if that.
Yeah, please. Please.
Yeah,
I will add it.
Sure, just so we have this arts and culture ad hoc committee, and we've been doing listening sessions. So we put out 3 listening sessions. We just had our second one on Friday. So the first one last month really just was an open space that everyone was able to sort of get out their thoughts. Last Friday's, I thought, was a really good transition about taking those thoughts and really organizing them, as well as continuing to bring up sort of new innovative ideas. It was really cool just to see different people connect, some different ideas come out. So I'm really excited about going into next month's ad hoc committee listening session as we prepare a sort of summary before the master plan.
Awesome. Thank you, Councilor Frangillo. Okay, future agenda items. Councilor DeLorco.
You got nothing?
Councilor Jones. Councilor Hamblin.
No, nothing at this time. Thank you.
Councilor Pellegrini.
No, nothing at this time.
Councilor Frangillo.
Nothing.
Councilor Chandler.
Nothing at this time?
Councilor Sheridan.
Nothing.
Councilor Cormier Ledger.
Nothing, sir.
Just want you to know, sometimes we can change it up a little. It just seems like Councilor Cormier Ledger and Councilor Sheridan get called on first all the time.
Yep.
So, okay, Councilor comments. Councilor Jones.
No.
Be still, my heart.
Must be thirsty.
Councilor DeLorco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple things. I just want to reach out to former district attorney, Norfolk County District Attorney, and former Attorney General Francis X. Bellotti today. We were at his birthday party. He turned 100 today. So it was very nice to see him, and he still very active. I asked him what his secret was, and he said going to the gym every day and drinking wine every day. So those are the
Under the wine.
So, and that's what I said to him. I said, I got the wine now. I gotta get to the gym. But outside of that, another thing, in talking with the people at the Safe Coalition, if you know anyone that's really struggling with addiction, there's a new drug out on the street. It's a horse tranquilizer that they're mixing with cocaine and heroin and every other kind of drug there is out there. And the issue is that Narcan does not work on it. So, just so people know, and Narcan does have no effect on it. So we've been finding a lot of people struggling with that. It's a tough one. So.
Thank you, Councilor DeLorco. Councilor Hamblin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Congratulations, Becky. And the Delcart Day, which was, I think it was 2 Saturdays ago, or Sundays when it was raining, has been moved to this Sunday from 9 to 1. There's going to be a lot of people there, and you can go on walks with the DCR, the Forester, and look for vernal pools and meet more of the conservation people. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Hamblin. Councilor Pellegrini.
I also would like to congratulate Becky. That's a wonderful, wonderful thing to happen for Franklin, for her, for the fire station. And I had something that I wanted to bring up. I don't know if the rest of you got the letters from students, 500 Lincoln Street, which is the school. And I just don't think that it was appropriate to be sent out. It shouldn't be sent from the school department. It shouldn't be a form letter that you have these kids signing. I mean, if you had to ask them, they probably didn't even realize everything, it was such a long letter of what they were doing. I'm all in favor of more counselors in that, because I know the times right now. But I know that something like this, I don't even know if it's legal for them to do, using the paper, using time, using everything to get to us, you know, through the school department. So I hope we won't see anything like this again. I mean, if they have something to say, please come before us here at the council. Okay? And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Pellegrini. Councilor Frangillo.
Yes. A few things. So the Arts and Culture Survey is still open, so if you haven't taken that survey, please do. And then a few events. So today, actually, was Walk to School Day. All of our elementary and middle schools participated, and I had a Franklin High senior help me out in the organization of that, and sort of reaching out to everyone and putting some research together, and then we're doing a survey of the students to get them to reflect on their experiences. So she's just been fantastic, Lily Edemo, and so I want to give her credit, and it was really cool to see that that happen today. Saturday, I'll be walking with Franklin Matters around downtown Franklin and talking about housing and design and development and whatever else comes to our minds, history. And so come join us. That's going to be at 10:30. We're meeting at the Common on the sort of High Street side. You'll find us there. Sort of hour and a half walk and talk of downtown. I'm really looking forward to that. 10:30 at the Common. Also at the Common, also at a similar time, just after that, Franklin Area Moms is rescheduled their environmental extravaganza. That was supposed to be on birthday. That had to be rescheduled. So if you have young kids that want to learn about the environment, that's going to be a good opportunity also at the Town Common on Saturday. And the final thing is Beautification Day. I don't think that we have a council meeting before that, so the next one is the 20th. May 20th is, you know, our downtown spring beautification day. They do a fantastic job, but they always could use more hands. So please, if you enjoy that, consider taking some time out and helping them on the 20th downtown.
Thank you, Councilor Frangillo. Councilor Chandler.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. Just one thing tonight, and Jamie pretty much said it all, but it's May, this is budget month. So send us your emails and all of that, and please watch the meetings, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Chandler. Councilor Sheridan.
Yeah, I'd like to congratulate Becky too, and I want to thank the people who are painting the electrical boxes around town.
Oh, I know, that's.
And on a personal note, I lost my dog downtown. No, she's alive.
Oh.
I lost my dog downtown on Monday, so if you saw an idiot running around the loop through Dean College
You found her, though.
to library, down close to the Common, with two Franklin police behind the lights on. That was me, and I want to thank the Franklin police for helping, and my kids do too.
Leash laws.
The leash broke.
Councilor Cormier Ledger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to everybody that presented tonight. Congratulations to Becky. Thank you to everyone that came to our Arts and Culture Subcommittee meeting. I thought it was great to see a really packed room. I particularly want to thank the high school student that came out and, you know, shared her opinions and observations very frankly with us. I thought that was fantastic to get her point of view, and looking forward to taking all of that great info into our third meeting. And I just wanted to give a shout out and congratulations to our friend Kay Kelly, the former chair for the Franklin Cultural Council. She's being awarded the Commonwealth Heroine Award coming up in June at the recommendation of Senator Roush. So that's a pretty big deal. And I've asked her for details so that maybe some of us from Franklin can attend and cheer her on for that. It's it's a really huge accomplishment. So other than that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Cormier-Ledger. Again, I'd just like to thank everybody that came, all the presenters this evening, all the people, great information. You know, watching the passion in Liz's face as she gave the presentation was, you know, you just really love that kind of passion coming from somebody about the work that they do. Especially that kind of, especially wastewater work. But it was certainly great to see, and Doug and Jake, thank you very much for coming and presenting this evening, and the commissioners for coming as well. And obviously, congratulations to Becky. It's a great, great achievement for her. It's a great achievement for the department. It just says wonders for our public safety people. So with that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Non-debatable. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I don't even have the energy to say aye.
That was long.
Glenn?
Yeah, no, I said that this on
Order.
Oh, I love